Hello, everybody. Pop culture curator here. I hope everyone is doing well. We're back on another Monday, depending on where you're located, morning, evening, afternoon. I don't know, but it's great to see you all. And we're getting close to. I was just telling Gorilla backstage, we're getting close to the end of the first season. So next week will be this is the penultimate episode. Next week will be the very last episode of season one. And then the following Monday, we're going to be, as a reminder, we'll be showing the unaired pilot. Because that way it'll kind of answer some of your questions about how Star Trek was first brought together. I'm sorry, Lost in Space was first brought together, and how they used the pilot and kind of split it up to make the first 5 episodes loosely.
I think watching the pilot right at the end after in 2 weeks from now is a great idea, Pop, because that will wrap up the entire season with a nice little bow, so to speak.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because it's very different than. Can you imagine if the series hadn't had Smith and the robot? Like, I think it would have lasted maybe 1 year, and that would have been it.
I know it's like usually people you always like say, oh no, when you hear network interference, but same with Star Trek, we got what we got because of NBC complaining.
I think they saved it. I really do. It's like Star Trek, right? It's like that. I mean, as much as the cage is interesting, it is a good episode, but I kind of agree with the network execs that on NBC that it was a little bit too cerebral, because I mean, let's face it, you couldn't do a whole series with that kind of writing, right?
No. Well, and I know people usually get mad at me or upset when I say it, but every time Gene Roddenberry gets his hands on it, it's just not usually very good.
Oh my God!
I mean, I know he does a lot of rewrites, but I mean, they had to get rid of him because on the motion picture, they still blamed him, and that's why they put him. They promoted him to executive producer for Wrath of Khan.
That's a good
good place. Keep him off the set. Then they did the same thing for TNG. I mean, the first season he had his hands all over it, and it was a mess. Once they got rid of him, unfortunately, it's not. In my opinion, I don't know if it was for the better or not, but I know the ratings went up on TNG. And people seem to enjoy it better once Roddenberry was. They always have to promote him to a higher pay grade.
Well,
keep him off the set.
I've always thought Roddenberry was a great visionary for imagining a concept, but when it came to actually writing sci-fi, he pretty much sucked, really.
Right, but I'm going to be the devil's advocate. A lot of what he came up with was actually other people's ideas. He came up with some, but he took credit for all, unfortunately.
Well, the thing about...
Sorry, guys. I hope you don't shoot me for that.
The thing about Roddenberry I find kind of weird in a way, Pop, is like, I'm a big fan of Have Gun Will Travel. That's one of my favorite Westerns of all time, right? Yeah. And I think Roddenberry wrote like 16 episodes or something for that. And they were actually really, really good. Like, he was great at writing Westerns. But
right. Well, that's why he became a cop, was to learn how to do that.
Yeah, but when he put his hand to sci-fi, it was like, I mean, the Omega Glory. Do I need to say more?
A lot of it Star Trek was Desilu bringing in that amazing crew.
Yeah, but can you imagine? Like, what was the third pilot? It was Mudd's Women. I can't imagine Mudd's Women selling the show. I really can't.
Well, you look. I mean, there's no denying the best episodes were written by Harlan Ellison, Richard Matheson. Theodore Sturgeon. You know what I mean? It was. Yeah. How many episodes did Gene Roddenberry wrote that stood out where everybody says they were favorites?
I think he wrote 3 in total or something.
Right, yeah. But how many did he write that everybody say, "Oh, that's my favorite. That's one of my top 5."
They're all forgettable. For
right.
Me, personally. Yeah.
But I know sorry guys, we're getting off track here. Hello, Gorilla. How you doing? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm doing all right.
Happy to see you guys.
Hi, Suzanne. Suzanne says she loves Have Gun Will Travel too. Awesome, Suzanne.
Well, yes, let me get over to the chat here. I'll get caught up. Thank you for your patience, everybody out there in the chat. Yeah. It's really good to see you, Suzanne. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Jill. How are you doing?
Hey, Jill. I'm waving. You can't see me, but I'm waving.
And PPP says hi, Suzanne. And PPP is laughing. And Suzanne says, PPP, hello, dear.
Yeah, hey, Suzanne.
Yeah, it is good to see her. PPP CA laughing. Hello, Jim. Jim's Landscape says hello. Good to see you, Jim.
Hey, Jim. How's it
Hope
going,
you're
Jim?
doing well as well.
Hope you're getting a lot of lawns cut there, Jim.
And Jim drops a link. Guess what? I got in my mailbox video. Cool. Check that out.
Ooh.
And Hail Pop Gorilla and PvP says Jim. And excuse me, Jim says Hail Suzanne. And Suzanne says hello Gorilla. Suzanne says Jim hello. And Suzanne says PvP I love Have Gun Will Travel. An old 60s Western for those old people like us that remember.
It's actually
I remember
50s.
too, and I liked it as well. Well, that was 50s, that's right.
It's even older. It's
Hail
actually
Jill,
it was
says
on before
Suzanne.
I was even alive, so that's really old.
You know, it's sad because I don't know why, but I know at least from my experience, you know, they showed a lot of, obviously, I grew up watching reruns and syndication, you know, so that's how I learned Star Trek, you know, Lost in Space, any of those shows, Gilligan's Island, any of those shows. But you notice how in syndication, or at least I've known from my perspective, they didn't show a lot of 50s and early 60s stuff. They showed, I remember Leave to Beaver, but I don't remember personally ever watching a lot of Dobie Gillis until later on TV Land. Mr. Ed, they didn't really show those. You know, we didn't watch that stuff when we came home from school or before school. We didn't see that stuff until TV Land popped up.
It depends on the series. Like I can actually remember as a little kid seeing Mr. Ed because we had one TV channel and they would only show the hit shows, right? If it wasn't getting good ratings, they wouldn't show it. That's why I never saw Star Trek until it went into syndication in the fall of '69, right? But I remember
how many
Mr.
50s
Ed.
shows do you remember?
Oh,
Mr. Ed was early 60s, right?
They played Mr. Ed like to death on my channel, and I of course, as a kid, I mean, you gotta love a talking horse, right?
Well,
I was
think
like
about
5.
shows, right? But think about shows that were around at the same time and that were competing with I Love Lucy. There's not that a lot that went into that I wrote. I don't know. Can you think of any? Because Mr. Ed was early 60s, but what about like 50s? Like let's say sitcoms. I Married Joan. I mean, how many people have seen that?
I can't remember too much from the 50s that we
I
actually got.
remember a little bit of the Nelsons, Harriet and Ozzie Nelson when I was a little kid. But there was so many shows. There was a lot. When you think about it, they showed a lot of westerns, but not many sitcoms. Even though there were a lot that existed.
Yeah, I don't think I saw a lot of that stuff until like maybe the late 70s or even the 80s when we had cable and they started. We had cable channels that started broadcasting all that old stuff. So yeah, you're probably right there, Pop. Pretty much, yeah.
And I'm getting behind on the chat again already. Suzanne says, Jim, hello. I probably already read the PvP. Got that one. Hail Jill. And Jim says, hail Jill. Suzanne says, we had a setback today with the wood stove. It needs to be redone, but we were home and caught the fire in the time, so all is safe. Oh my! Yeah, be careful with that. Yeah, that's the downfall. I love having wood stoves, but that is the downfall. Unfortunately, people talk about heaters being dangerous.
Yeah, I remember one time when I lived in a house years ago, and I made the mistake of putting a little too much wood on the fire one night, and I actually got a chimney fire going. So the fire department shows up at my door. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, you definitely, yeah.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. But luckily they doused it and everything was fine. But it's pretty scary when it happens.
Yeah, how much did that run you?
Oh no, they didn't charge me a penny. But it's Canada, right? So
Oh, because our department, they'll bill your insurance company based on how long they've been out there and all that. Like, that's gonna be pretty pity. That guy that rolled his truck out there on the interstate there, and they had to get the jaws of life.
Oh crap! Well, that's a different thing.
That sounds expensive if you got to pay for that.
But yeah, I didn't pay a penny. I mean, they just came. They just put it out, and then they left to go on to the next fire, I guess. So
yeah. Well, when my aunt's chicken coop caught on fire, they got lucky that they only charged him $50, but that's because Norm was the chief of police, or not chief of police. He was the fire chief out there, so I'm pretty sure he got a special discount. But
that helps.
That's a really fun. That was a real funny story with that one, but that's for another stream.
Okay, I'm just gonna step away for a minute because I got some French fries in the oven and they're probably cooked by now, so I'm gonna go grab those.
Go for it.
I'm hungry.
And as a reminder, everyone, this is the penultimate episode of Lost in Space, second from the very end of the season. Today we're going to be covering season 1, episode 28, A Change of Space. And the description is as follows. A strange interdimensional ship turns Will into a genius and Dr. Smith into an old man. Or older, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. And I'm going to cover the assessment here a little bit. And the assessment is Lost in Space seemed to be back on track with this episode after the misfire called The Lost Civilization. The story is imaginative and well structured. There is even a character arc for Will as he realizes that he may have lost as much as he gained in becoming a sudden genius. And he is willing to risk losing his newfound enhanced intellect by making another test flight in the alien ship. And all in order to perhaps save the life of another. Will is very much a hero in this episode in that he is willing to sacrifice himself for someone else.
Yeah, as arrogant as he got, he didn't lose his empathy.
I thought about that too. It was crossing my mind. It came very close. It could have easily been an episode where he was like a Mary Sue and he saved the day and he was irritating because that is very easy on TV shows, obviously. So I think that it might be part of, I don't know if it's his acting. He's a good actor for his age, and also the way it's written, but he doesn't seem like a Wesley to me. Normally, they would when they're that age. 12 years old, I'd be thinking, oh my God. But Will never got on my nerves like that. In addition to what works on a story level, the dialogue is sharp, and that means the characters come off as smart. Something they most certainly did not in William Welch's script for The Lost Civilization. He keeps attacking the episode that we watched last week with the princess that Will had to kiss. Writer Peter Packer utilized the cast members well and even brought back the sense of family. Judy recording her audio diary, Maureen and Penny bonding as mother-daughter, Will and Penny playing chess, Dawn and Penny trying to find a little alone time for romance. Moments such as these have been missing from several of the recent episodes. The alien ships, even though clearly a modified versions of the Seaview's diving bell, of course, once again, this will be the second time they used the diving bell. They also used it in the episode The Raft. From Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea are inspired in design and execution. The space-traveling creature himself, again modified from one seen on Voyage, is also effectively alien and frightening, and it speaks in a foreign language. Bravo to Peter Packer. The wart on the skin of this episode is that Jonathan Harris plays his old man Smith way over the top. It's silly and hammy to the point of annoyance. Fortunately, the old Smith doesn't make his entrance in the story until the curtain of the second act. A change of space is a change in the right direction after The Lost Civilization. Script was originally first written in February and March 1966 and did not have a lot of revisions. It had Tony Wilson working on the revisions, and that's it. And it was completed March 25th.
That's funny, that's his review, because that's what I was thinking too. At least it wasn't as bad as the last two.
I know, it's like what a breath of fresh air. It's sad to say. This was already Peter Packer's 10th Lost in Space script. All had been produced except for Sorry, Wrong Planet, which had been abandoned and blast off into space, which is being held to launch in the second season. Tony Wilson felt Packer had done well to the extent Wilson did not put the script through a rewrite, opting instead for a series of page revisions as notes came in from Irwin Allen, CBS, and Jonathan Harris, of course. On March 17 of 1966, Sam Taylor of CBS Program Practices to Irwin Allen wrote, as discussed with Mr. Wilson, when Will visits the alien spaceship, scene 39, for the second time he is acting imprudently. However, when he again goes to the ship, hush up, Pooch. When he again goes to the ship after scene 83, he seems to be committing a deliberate act of disobedience. We would ask that you alter the situation by deleting the last sequence. But Dad won't allow it. In Will's speech, page 45, scene 83. The following day, Taylor added, as discussed with Mr. Wilson, page 14, scene 28. Will's speech that he realizes he is being disobedient. He would request it be changed so as to indicate the apprehension. Perhaps he could say, I shouldn't get close, but I shouldn't get too close, but. So that's interesting. I'm glad I read that before we actually watched that scene. Because now what we're seeing is directly what CBS programs and practices wanted them to write. Instead of what we would have figured, I guess, so Will wouldn't be disobedient. We're not allowed to be disobedient back then. Unlike today's shows, I guess. Sorry about the delay there. Okay. And, how could I forget? I am reading from Lost in Space, the authorized biography of a classic sci-fi series. And since we are almost done with the first season, I'm almost done with this book. I ordered the second one and arrived, thankfully. I'll be all ready to go when we start season 2 in 3 weeks. So I'm excited for that. Okay, let me get ready here. Oops, looks like Jill's returning. Go ahead, Gorilla. Sorry about that. We're fighting. Welcome back, Jill. How you doing there?
Yeah, we're
I'm
fighting
all right.
here.
I wanted to let you know for some reason, the first few slides of this episode are missing, but it's okay. It's just the part where Smith falls into a sand pit and Will digs him out. So
right.
just
Basically, it's
that.
Okay, that's just the recap from the cliffhanger from last week, which should be fair enough. We can describe.
Since they're missing, the whole time I was like, when I see Smith fall through there, I was like, yes, yeah. Oh, dang it. Oh, yeah, I'll say something else. But
And you finally thought we were rid of Smith for good, right, Gorilla?
I was cheering him on, getting sucked into there. I was cheering it on.
Well, you got to admit that was a fun moment. I enjoyed it too. By the way, I'm going to mute again because I'm eating French fries, so I'll mute for a little bit.
Okay. So we do start off where we left off last week, and that's Will and Dr. Smith exploring pretty much. And they notice they see a bright light, and they think they see an outcrop of what looks like gold or jewels. So Smith thinks. And Will says no, that his dad checked it out and said it was nothing pretty much. But Will is still determined. I'm sorry, Dr. Smith is still determined to go check out to see what these glowing rocks are. And they head that direction. And unfortunately, Dr. Smith steps into a cosmic dust pit. I think it's described, if I remember right, from Will Robinson. Yeah. So you got to watch out for that cosmic dust, cosmic storms, and everything else that are cosmic. They seem to always be a pain in the neck, right? But much to Gorilla's chagrin, it was only a couple feet deep, and Dr. Smith was immediately rescued by Will. So it wasn't quite like quicksand, which is what I kind of thought when I first saw it. I remember I thought it was going to be like quicksand, and it'd be really difficult to pull out Dr. Smith, but I'd say he got out fairly easy.
Well, the problem with 60 shows is we got high definition now, so that quicksand just looks like regular sand to us on our TVs.
Well, it does. It depends on what you're watching. I've seen where it actually does look wet, and when they pull them out, they're wet. I mean, that still may not be as realistic as what we see here, but they didn't mention anything about water here. They just said cosmic dust. But I have seen episodes where when they pull them out, not only are they wet, but it's all stuck to them all over. Now, they don't usually show them cleaning themselves afterwards, but they do show them as wet. It used to be such a big trope back then, especially in all the westerns or where they're out in the jungles and stuff, or out in the open, I suppose. And I keep forgetting to star the chat. Okay, there we go. I'm going to catch up here really quick. Suzanne Eckstein says, I'm going to speak with a man in town here that is known to help those in need and see if I can enter a contract with him to pay him back. Then we will be able to get electric and gas heat on. You're doing without, oh my God. And it's getting cold right now, Suzanne. That's terrible. I hope you guys can figure out some way to bundling up. Suzanne drops a link that says, check out PvP's channel. Thank you, Suzanne. And also a link for Jim's and Gorilla. And Suzanne says, Jill, type in chat so I can grab your link. And Jill says hi. So there we go. I think we're caught up. Let me start that one. But yes, Dr.
That's
Smith
for
falls
Suzanne there.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And so Smith is easily rescued from the sand pit. They continue their trek towards whatever the glowing rocks seem to be. And then that's when they come across 2 alien spaceships. And that's what I mentioned a moment ago about it being repurposed from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, which is totally fine. I thought, in my opinion, I like the design of the 2 spaceships, especially the one on the right. And I know they're really small for one person each, but it was nice to see 2 of them for a change.
I've never seen Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, so any reuse or repurpose of that equipment I wouldn't know unless we were learning about it right now.
I was just gonna say that I know you've already got a mile-high stack of things to watch, but if you can ever include Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah,
Well, lucky
definitely.
enough.
Actually, I would recommend all of the Irwin Allen shows. I mean, Time Tunnel and Land of the Giants are pretty cool too.
Yes, and if I remember right, sorry, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea only lasted, I think, 3 or 4 seasons.
It was 4.
4? Yeah, because I remember I wanted a nice round number like 5, and I didn't luck out.
Yeah.
And Land of the Giants was, I think, just 1 season, right?
1 season. Same with Time Tunnel, just 1.
Time Tunnel is on my list, and Land of the Giants would be good because Dorothy Fontana supposedly works on that, right?
I didn't know that. I'd check it.
I'm not
I'd
sure.
check it out.
Does she not? I don't know.
Even writer, as a writer.
I seem to remember something about it.
Yeah, I guess she must have been as a writer. Yeah, I would think. Time Tunnel has got some awesomely great episodes, and it's got some mediocre ones. It's very inconsistent, but the good ones are really good, Jill. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Well, she wrote 1 episode of Land of the Lost. I got mixed up.
It's Land of something.
That's the one with the Slee Stacks, yeah, and Will and Holly, I think, right, and their dad and all that kind of garbage. I used to watch it when I was young and naive. I don't know if it holds up now or not. So they come across these 2 alien ships, and Jill, when you do get your slides ready, if you could start with the first one wherever you're at, that tells me how far I need to.
I did. I shared it. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have. There's the ships. Yes, that is the diving bell. And it's funny because remember you last week we used props and scenery from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. So this is 2 weeks in a row. And this is what the poor Peter Packer ran out of ideas, because I agree with Mark Cushman in the book that it is a pretty good, it's well written. Well, of course, anything is going to be like a breath of fresh air, like I said, compared to last week's.
You know, that's one thing I wanted to bring up tonight is I was amazed at how good the dialogue was in this episode. I was like, Peter Packer wrote this? It has to be one of his finest episodes, in my opinion, anyway, because I don't know if they had other people polish the screenplay after he finished handing it in, but the dialogue is fantastic.
It is, I agree. And the fact that, like the book said, the fact that it brings the family back together, that's really nice. They did that. Robot really had a good part. And that they pretty much made him look like a buffoon last week, right? So I'm glad that the robot
was great. He had some great snarky lines with Dr. Smith. It was very funny. I think my favorite though is Will, when Will goes for the ride and changes. I don't want to give away spoilers yet, but he changes his personality, and it's like the dialogue is just spot on. I thought really good.
And
welcome at time.
Hello, you guys. Hello, at your time. Good to see you.
And welcome,
hello,
Cody guy.
Hello, Cody guy.
Hi, Cody.
And there's the 2 ships. Right, there's the 2 ships, and that's obviously the diving bell on the left. And it looks like it's immediately nighttime. Is this after it shot it, right? Because it walked up, and that ship shot the robot, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Hey, Suzanne says we will be
the
all
ship
right.
Shot the robot right here.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. Poor robot.
Yeah, but I did go over it a couple of times just to get this shot.
I wish the
really good
robot
shot.
would have been backed up a little bit so we could see it, but we can't see it if you can see the beam. So that's what happened. Is okay? That's right. I was kind of getting these things ready at the same time I was watching it. So it knocks the robot out. Robots without power, and I guess it's later on that evening when Will goes back to try to fix it and see what's wrong with it. And then we have here where robot Will fixes it and repairs the robot later on that evening.
Yeah. Welcome, Mikey.
Hello, Mikey. Good to see you.
Hi, Mikey.
Hello.
I gotta say, the last couple episodes, Will's been getting pretty darn good at fixing the robot.
Yeah, I would say they're really getting that relationship between the robot and Dr. Smith established.
Yeah.
As well as Will. Go ahead, Joe.
Whereas last time he just had to reset him. This time he actually needed tools to do it, so it's a little slightly better here.
Yes.
More
believable. Yeah, it was more believable this time. Yeah.
So it looks like the robot seems to be okay after Will repaired him. And of course, at the end, as we know, this is Lost in Space. They're going to get nosy.
This is one part. One of my few criticisms of the episode is, Professor Robinson told him don't go close to the ship, and what does Will do? He doesn't go close to it. He goes right inside the damn ship and takes off.
Yeah. Well, same thing with the raft and everything else.
It's like, what are you doing, Will? Like, it's one of the few times in the series I think Will just seems to totally lose any sense of responsibility completely.
Yeah. Oh, this scene here, I was watching this with Tony, and he goes, "What happened? Is he really in outer space?" I was like, "Yeah, he was effing around with stuff he shouldn't have been." They kept asking questions, so I had to keep repeating the answer. So therefore, you don't sit there and touch stuff you're not supposed to.
Well, good. Maybe you'll get into. Maybe you'll start watching the show and you'll like it. We'll turn. Convert a new fan.
Well, the whole time he's going. I asked him how he liked it. He goes, "It's meh."
Oh, lovely.
Maybe you'll get a different opinion next season when it's in color.
That might be it. Yeah, color might help.
And I thought this was kind of cool. And once again, I'm going to bring up. This also reminds me of the raft. Remember the earlier episode where he was in the diving bell and then accidentally took off, and he was doing his rocket experiment, and then he landed, and him and was it him? Yeah, and Dr. Smith. They were surrounded by that bush creature that was making them tend to the fruits of it, the plants, and it was two-headed. So it kind of reminds me of another version of the raft where Will sets out on this mission, but we don't know where he's going. And I bet the special effects looks pretty good. And the fact, but instead of him going somewhere in the episode following him there like it did in the episode of the raft, the story stays at the Jupiter 2, and they just wait for the ship to come back.
Well, that was a weird thing. One of the odd things of the episode is the ship would take off and fly around for a while, and this is capable of going across the universe in a split second, but it doesn't. It just flies around the planet a couple times and then lands again, which seemed a bit odd.
Well, when they kept asking Dr. Smith about the speed that he would, I believe they were asking him about the speed when they were trying to figure out what it was that was made him turn old. And that it was different from Will getting smarter. They asked him, basically which controls and buttons. So they're making it sound like, and especially after Will comes back, that they have the knowledge to run the ship. So nobody ever thought of us going back to Earth, sending one person back to Earth, right?
All right. Okay, can we catch up on chat real quick?
Yes, thank you, Gorilla.
We're getting quite a bit of it here. Let's see. Andrew Type says, "Oh my God, money is such a cope. Talk about a month of Sundays." Then we said hello to Mikey there. Everybody's saying hello. He said, and they said the cope cage is real.
I like how there's so many props from previous episodes. I love it.
Yeah. Then Mikey says, "Thank you, Miss Suzanne. We've been praying for you and your family every day to have better lives."
Absolutely. And please try to stay warm. But as a reminder, everybody, she's got She has a fundraiser, and we need to help her out if you can. She definitely sorely needs it, and she's a very sweet, deserving person. So if you can help her out, please do. Go ahead and finish, Gorilla, with
All
the.
right. Suzanne says, Mikey, many thanks to you and Suzanne for the prayers. Mike says, I really did love the colorized Lost in Space episodes better. Then Mikey says,
They weren't actually colorized. They were actually in color, actually filmed in color in season 2 and 3, Mikey.
Right. Yes, and I think you'll be happy. No, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think because
They were
they look
very colorful.
they look magnificent.
Oh yeah, yeah, very much.
Then Mikey says, I'm sorry. Mike says, you're welcome, Suzanne. This has been a rough 2023 for all of us.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
24's got to be better. I mean, it can't be any worse, right?
Well, that's what I keep thinking every year, but sometimes I'm surprised.
I think for me,
yeah.
personally, for me personally, I think it's going to be better. I got some good news from the doctor today.
Oh,
so outlook's looking better. So I actually think that 24 might be better than 23.
That is so good to hear, Pop. That's really great.
I was happy to read about that in Bird's chat. I'm glad to hear.
Here's what it is. You guys know that I'll make it fast. I don't want to bore you guys, but I was taking chemo treatments 3 times a week, and they give me obviously about a mix of about a cocktail of about 4 different drugs. I think 4 or 5. And today was the day where I told you guys I was going to see the doctor and tell her that if there hasn't been any progress, that I was going to stop treatment. And that's the reason why I had her send me to get scans like a week ago. So anyway, so she comes in. What they do is they take my blood samples, and then the doctor comes in before I start the chemo. And she gave me the results, and she said, according to the new scans that I got, okay, first of all, I'm not a doctor, so I felt like a fool because I felt like the professor when he talks on Gilligan's Island, and I'm Gilligan, and Gilligan never understands what the professor's talking about. But she said, if I remember this right, and I don't screw it up, that I have 4 lobes, and 2 of them had cancer, and one's getting bigger. The 2, okay, and then I said, 4 lobes means 2 lungs, 2 lobes in each lung, is what I found out. And she said, one of them is getting bigger. I said, oh, does that mean the cancer is getting worse? And she said, no. When your lobe gets bigger, that means that area of the lung gets bigger and the cancer gets smaller. So basically, one of them is getting better and the other one is not yet. But the good news is they're changing the cocktails and medicines where they're removing the ones that made me feel really bad for like a week afterwards. Because remember,
that's really
I would have the treatment. Well, here's what's interesting. There's these 2 chemicals that they're not going to give me anymore, which is not going to make me feel like I'm going to die for a week. My hair's going to start growing back. I'll start gaining weight again, and I'll start gaining my strength again, and I won't be so tired.
So
it's basically the worst of everything. Yes, and not only that, but the treatment would always take me from about 9 in the morning till about 3 to 4 p.m. Now they're just skipping those 2 drugs. I was out of there by 10 o'clock today.
Great.
Of course, so yeah, I was like, but she goes, I do have some good news for change. So, and it was just, like I said, it was just in time too. I was about ready to tell her that I was going to stop treatment.
Well, that's great too. If one of the lobes in your lung is gotten bigger, that means you probably have a better capacity to breathe, right? So that sounds good.
I was just telling somebody on stream the other day. I said I don't know what my results are going to be, but I know I can breathe better and I felt better. So I guess that shows.
Well, it seems like it's working then, Pop. That's really great news, man.
Yeah. So far.
Yeah, I'm glad there's been some positive progress. That's good.
Yeah, positive is always good.
And believe me, the biggest thing is I'm not going to have that week where I feel really, really bad. I mean, that is so horrible. I couldn't describe it. And it was.
Tell us about it, how bad it was. Yeah. So
yeah, you guys know all the streams that I missed because I felt bad.
Yeah. Well, when you said you were in bed all day, that doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. So
day, night, and I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. I couldn't get out of bed barely. I mean, just to go to the bathroom, pretty much is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds pretty bad. Oh, I have a quick question. I want to just sidetrack us for a second here. I want to ask Jill, does that look like actual real mathematics on the board there, Jill, or is it just like gobbledygook?
Real, they're variables, so I'm not sure if they're physics in
Are
any
they
way
legible? I need to
related
think
way.
about it.
Are they
I didn't do
believable?
any
I guess is what I'm asking.
I didn't do any cross reference as to whether this is anything like what you would expect from physics energy conversion formulas
Okay.
or anything. So I'm sorry I didn't check into it. Sorry.
Oh,
PvP.
hey, it could be written in Chinese, and I wouldn't understand it any better. So I just thought I'd run it by you there, Jill, because you're like the math whiz on the
Yeah,
panel here, right?
if
So,
everybody knows, it's Jill, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I only took physics 2 and my physics 2 class was in 7 weeks, so I didn't really learn as much as I should have.
Okay.
And so
Darn
yeah,
it,
so I
that's
know
not good
math,
enough.
but not all physics. I know it wasn't good enough. I really should have taken physics 2 as a complete course.
Oh,
But
damn!
I
I
just
should never have asked Jill and put her on the spot like that, should I? Damn.
No, it was a great question, which makes me ask, Jill, have you ever seen the blackboard scene from The Day the Earth Stood Still?
no, I still haven't. But
There's another
Great
scene
movie.
where the alien comes to Earth, and then he says, "I want to meet the smartest man in the world." So it's Al Jaffe playing kind of like an Einstein character. So the alien sneaks into his house, and the Einstein character has all these mathematical equations on a blackboard, and he's trying to figure out. I think it's
Cool.
space travel, or something
Cool.
like that. Do you remember that scene, PvP?
I've seen the movie probably 3 or 4 times at least, but I haven't seen it in probably a couple years, so I'm kind of a little bit fuzzy on the scene actually. But
Well,
I'll take your word for it.
I
I'm
was
sure that was a scene. But yeah, it's been a while since I watched. So
there was because the alien corrected him on a few things. He walked up and erased a couple equations and fixed them.
Now that you mentioned that part, I do remember him walking up to the board and erasing some of the stuff, and it's like, this is incorrect.
Yeah,
This is
Michael
better.
Rennie.
Yeah,
Right.
Michael Rennie was great in that movie. Great movie.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe we need to start covering more sci-fi movies on my Tuesday stream. It seems like we seem to be doing mostly horror.
Been a
I'm
lot of
wondering
horror
maybe if I
lately.
should reserve. Yeah, maybe I should reserve a week for sci-fi every month. You know what I mean? I've been kind of juggling, and it seems like I do want to change the format and try to add more of a variety.
Well, I think it's
And
always good to
sci-fi has
mix
been
it up.
underrated.
Just mix it up,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah, because there's a lot of good sci-fi movies I haven't covered yet. And
Oh, yeah, there
I
is
thought about
absolutely.
another
It's a
good one
classic.
today. I don't remember what it was, but I want to start getting into that again.
All right.
I've noticed too, Pop, when you put a poll up, it always seems like it's the vintage films that get the votes. I don't know why.
No, I'd say both. Like a good example is The Blob. Or no, what was it? Was it The Blob where I had two of them at the same time? The original, but anyway, I would say I got half people saying, and they're kind of voting for the classics, but I also had people complaining saying, "Why are you showing the old stuff?"
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I guess it's probably best to show some of both, probably, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to make everybody happy. Yes, Grill, are you trying to say something?
Well, I was going to ask if we could get back on the chapter, but Bob, you're never going to make anybody happy there.
Not everybody. I understand that. Not everybody. But do you guys think I should? Do you guys think I should start, adding more variety? Is my question. Do you guys start adding more sci-fi? What do you guys think?
I wouldn't mind a bit more sci-fi because it's been a lot of horror in the last little while, I think, hasn't it? So
yeah, not enough weeks in the month. Darn it.
Yeah.
To be honest, though, I'm more of a sci-fi guy than a horror guy. That's just me.
I don't know. What do you think, Gorilla? You guys should add more sci-fi.
Well, I'm a sci-fi guy over horror. I'll say sci-fi over horror any day.
Okay, see, so that's 2 votes. What I'll do is I'll let everybody in the chat vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a poll up in my community tab saying, do you guys want me to start showing more sci-fi?
I got a feeling Jill would probably make it 3. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Alrighty. Alrighty. Advertise says, I will never have wine with Gertrude Stein, but that's just by cross to bear. Sigh. Here's Gifts and Go. Thanks, Pop. Mikey says that's
It's
good.
my pleasure, Suzanne. Check it out, everybody. That link for Suzanne.
Yeah, Mikey says that's good news, Pop. And Suzanne says our needs are met every day. Well, that's good. And Suzanne says, Pop, that's fantastic news. All right. Welcome, Taylor Swift, greater than Star Wars.
Hail Taylor Swift and MCU. How about
Oh,
the Muppets? Don't
that's
forget about Taylor Swift. Don't forget about Pixar and the Muppets.
that's a really good question.
Yeah, he says, when recapping the Great 60s shows, The Fugitive, LOL.
I love The Fugitive. That's one of the greatest TV shows ever
All right,
made. I
we're all caught
love
up.
that show.
Thank
Hey,
you, Willa.
hello, Maggie.
I wouldn't mind if somebody did The Fugitive, actually, because that show's really, really good. Really well-written show. And David
All right.
Jansen is awesome in it.
So we have Will returns, and he has superior intellect, smarter than obviously years above Professor Robinson and Don, and he's trying to explain them the design of space travel, which was interesting. Is they said that it was light speed squared. I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it, which is
Wasn't there
incredible.
something
That makes Star Wars look. I mean, Star Trek look pale in comparison when you
Wasn't
think
there
about it.
something about the sixth dimension even they mentioned? Like, that seemed
Yeah.
really weird.
He was just rattling up a whole bunch of stuff, pretty much. But it was
Yeah.
what I liked about it is it wasn't sometimes when they rattle off technology on Lost in Space, or even sometimes when you're kind of pushing it on Star Trek, it gets where it sounds fake and like just babble. But it was actually sounded interesting, almost believable, enough to make you wonder. It didn't sound totally stupid, with a lot, I don't know, with a lot of dumb technology. Sometimes they can easily mess it up the way they describe it.
Oh, you can go into technobabble territory pretty quickly. Yeah, I agree.
Right. And you have to be able to write it to where it at least sounds plausible, I guess would be the word. Because sometimes, we've even seen it here on Lost in Space when they'll just describe something and it's pretty much a silly description there, that's not very believable. But I thought the writing, like you were mentioning, and another thing, Tony Wilson did kind of cover it, but he didn't do a complete rewrite.
Oh, he did.
So it
Okay.
sounds like Peter Packer did most of it. That's what I kept thinking when I was watching it, if it was done by, because it's really good. Did one person do it, or did I just don't know exactly how much Tony Wilson had his hands on it.
Yeah, I wonder, because I'm still shocked that Peter Packer could write dialogue as good as this. Because the dialogue, I think this is probably one of my favorite season 1 episodes as far as dialogue goes. The story might be not the most interesting or riveting, but the dialogue is just solid, like all through this.
And it's believable too, also that his family or dad, of course, not the mom so much, but the dad is concerned that Will's not going to really start respecting them anymore, and that it's going to change their relationship with him with the superior intellect.
He does mention that early on, doesn't he? Yeah.
Right. Well, it's also like not only does he have superior intellect, but he's a lot more mature, and that's what almost like a grown man. But of course, his mom doesn't believe that. She knows it's still the Will that he.
Well, you know what I think about Will in this is his intellect has grown like 100 times, but his social skills have probably gone down 100 times because he's got no social skills at all. He's just basically arrogant, right? Because he's so damn smart. He just talks down to everybody, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I would talk to my parents like that, they'd smack me in the next week. Speaking of, I wonder if they can still do that because I really need my paycheck.
I guess not. Probably. Sophie Martin returned to direct. This was already his 8th episode of Lost in Space, with another 6 to go. At this time, he was well along the way in directing 14 episodes of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, with 14 episodes still ahead for the Time Tunnel, and then 21 for Land of the Giants. So yeah, these people were like just constantly walking around the studio doing one show, then the next, and the next, and the next. So I know we've encouraged you guys to watch those shows, but as you can tell, they're obviously in the same flavor as Lost in Space. So it literally has the same people with the same hands on it.
Yeah, and welcome Daniel topic there. He says 4th like. Hello everyone.
Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Daniel. Good to see you.
Jill, you want to read this one?
Hey, hello, Maggie.
We didn't get our
Hello,
normal.
Olo.
Yeah,
Hello, Lo.
What
yeah.
we don't get a jail this time? What's going
Nope.
on here?
Come on, Matt.
Fine.
What's up?
Hey,
Come
I
on,
like.
what's going on?
Actually, I like variety. Keep it up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Surprise her.
And Daniel says, "Hello, Suzanne. Hope you are doing good today. It's so chilly here."
It's
Well,
I have a
that's
chilly
question.
here too.
I have a question for Daniel, really quick. Daniel, are you on Twitter? And if so, are you part of our streaming group so that you get the alerts when we have our streams? Because I know sometimes you're not able to make them. So let me know if you have. So that's two questions. Are you on Twitter? And are you in our streaming group? Let me know. Go ahead. Sorry, Gorilla.
okay. Oh, here we go. Jill, you need to read this one.
Oh, Jill.
And welcome,
There it
Scurvy.
is.
You need to read
But
this one too.
lemon pie says gel.
Hello,
Is
Lemon
it-
Pie. Good to see you.
And Mikey says, Will's really reading Dr. Smith so well this episode, lol. Then Scurvy says, hey, folks. No, I am not on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. And Taylor says, yes, The Fugitive is awesome. The best part is they could rival any show. All right, we're all
A
caught up.
Quinn Martin production, of course.
Yeah, we're all caught up.
Thank you. So yes, Will is since he now has superior intellect, he sees right through Doctor Smith like a window. He knows every little. I would say not. It's not everything that Doctor Smith says, but he also knows what he's thinking. He's already ahead of Doctor Smith. He knows him so well. So Doctor Smith.
Basically, whatever the audience is thinking every episode. Like, how could you guys be so gullible with Dr. Smith? And now Will is not.
Finally. But what's interesting is Doctor Smith does adapt. He does his ulterior motives. He does try 2 or 3 different ways, and then of course the third, or how I can't remember exactly how many ways, but he decided to in order, and the way he did successfully trick Will. Basically, it was a trick to tell him that he's probably very lonely because there's no one else with the same intellect who could talk to him on his level, and that's his excuse. And of course, Will is hesitant because he's afraid Dr. Smith is going to use it basically like an evil power, which we all know he is, of course. So that's why Dr. Smith decides to hop in and take this ship for a ride.
You know,
But does he get the same results as Will? We'll see about that, huh?
the one thing that puzzles me is like, why didn't Smith talk to Will about trying to figure out a way to get back to Earth? Because that's been his major motive through the entire season, and there's not even any mention of him trying to get back to Earth in this episode.
There is. See, here's what it is. Okay, here's what I was thinking. Dr. Smith, we all know that his first priority is getting back to Earth. But what he did when he realized that Will was onto him, he waited for when Will was saying, you're going to go and you're going to go back to Earth and you're going to be the president of the United States at least. So Will did say to him, he was probably afraid to say it because he didn't want to seem too forward. But Will did say it. He said, you'll probably end up on, he said, first you'll say, he said, ruler of the universe or something like that. And then he said, you'll go back to Earth and then you'll become president at least, is what he said.
Right. I do.
And then Dr. Smith Smith acted like he was surprised when, like, oh, really? I didn't thought of that. But we all know he did.
I still remember the scene though where Will was charting out that he had that big sheet of paper and he was charting stuff out, and that's what Dr. Smith basically used to figure out how to launch the thing, right? And
well, he did it. Those were instructions for Smith.
Exactly, but I could just see him going, "Hey, Will, would you mind just adding a little bit on there about how to get back to Earth?" Just a thought, right? It's like, I don't know.
Well, here it is. Okay, let's say he handed Smith the instructions. Are they instructions that teach him enough where he can go wherever he wants, and he doesn't go to Earth? He doesn't use that as an advantage, or were the instructions just enough to like shoot up in space and come back and see if he changes? That's the only thing is it didn't tell us what exactly it taught him about the ship. They obviously got to fly it, but
good point. Actually, yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Either way, somebody should try to go back to Earth. That should have been the high priority. You all know that. But it's like Gilligan's Island. They find a boat, and we're all thinking, why don't they get rescued? Because we won't have a TV show anymore.
Exactly. It has to happen, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Gilligan's Island in space, right?
Yeah, that's basically it, I guess, a lot of the time on this show.
And of course, they have to have a helmet on, which makes very little sense. But well, I guess it works for the plot.
It's got to be one of the dumbest looking helmets I've ever seen, by the way. I just want to throw that in because it's pretty bad.
Don't forget the guards from last week's episode. Remember those
Actually,
silly looking Buck Rogers hats?
those were worse, actually. Yeah, I have to admit those were definitely worse.
So, of course, you think that the dad. I mean, I know the dad was upset here. You think he'd be really super upset if they know that because basically, Will and Dr. Smith have been ignoring him, Professor Robinson, the whole episode because he's told many times, "Don't touch those tips," and that's all they're doing everything but that. Or
That's all they do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one. That's one of the my little annoyances with the episode. It's like they don't listen to Dad at all.
They listen to him about as well as I listen to mine.
well, and this isn't the last time we're going to see that trope because I mean, honestly, we're going to see more of it in second and third season. So
I do
Dr.
like
Smith,
seeing,
go ahead.
I do like seeing Dr. Smith like really old here though. That was a lot of fun. That was great fun.
It was. I think so too. But I know the book said that he was over the top. I liked it. I thought it because his character is over the top. He's always going from one extreme to the other, and it's
Oh,
nice to see him go
totally.
to this for a change. I mean, he's just using his. It's we know that, and even from reading the book, we know that Jonathan Harris loved to have it in front of the camera.
Oh
He
God,
loved
did
to
he
be the
ever?
center of attention. Obviously, he helped write most of the scripts. So I don't hold it against him at all. I actually
No,
liked him playing this.
I thought once he had the beard on, it was like free license to chew the scenery through the
Yeah,
rest of the episode. Right? It was
yeah.
great. I loved it.
Owen was asking if they got an old man to play him.
And that's a good point too. I actually like the makeup. If I had to
Yeah,
pick and choose,
yeah.
right here's what I thought about. I thought the makeup was better here than on some of the Star Trek episodes where that was the Deadly Years where they turned old.
Oh, that was
Yes.
yeah, that was pretty bad. I agree there. Yeah.
Not as bad as the pilot of TNG where they did poor DeForest Kelly. That's probably the most despicable thing I've ever seen
Oh
in my
yeah,
life.
that was pretty shabby. Yeah.
Wes
And
Moore.
compared with the deadly years, Dr. Smith is actually really good at acclimating to being old compared to that.
Oh, that's true. And a little over the top about the old too. Every stereotype about an old person. And I
Oh,
noticed that
totally.
he's right. And I noticed that he said that he only remembers things from years ago. So that's Alzheimer's. And I'm wondering if Alzheimer's was diagnosed back then.
There is a thing though with older people that start to lose their short-term memory, but their long-term memory stays
Well, it goes
intact.
back. It reverses. What happens is in the beginning stage of Alzheimer's, I mean, Biden's a good example, but in the early stages, you start forgetting things that happened recently, but it's not just short term. It's almost like the clock in their brains are slowly winding back. So you could talk to them like, let's say tonight, and they remember back to the 90s, and then in a week they'll remember back to the 80s, and then the 70s into the 60s, and pretty soon where they're a little child.
I think though, even if you don't have Alzheimer's, there's a natural tendency as you get older to dwell on previous decades, like you get into
Yes.
that nostalgia thing because you have all those good, fun memories of when you were a young person, and you know, and let's face it, I mean, as you get older, it's like, who the hell wants to think about day-to-day
Right.
life? Because
When I
getting
was
old
a
kind of sucks.
when I was a kid, we had an aunt, and her name was Bert, and she would get drunk every night, and we called her Aunt Bert.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
Right? She would get drunk every single night, and her name was
Oh
Aunt Bert.
Lord. Oh
And you could
gee.
always say, "Hey, everybody, Aunt Burp is here," because you can hear her out cussing at a taxi driver because she
Oh.
wanted a ride to come over her house, but she was drunk, and then she'd always tell the taxi drivers to get a free ride. Anyway, but she would
Oh
spend
man.
hours every night, hours in the back room talking to herself. You could see the
Oh
shadow
gee.
on the wall,
Jesus.
and she was talking to her dead husbands.
Oh, that's kind of creepy, actually.
Multiple husbands. Nice.
I know. Oh yes.
You gotta wonder what kind of woman she was since she buried all the husbands previously. Like,
Well, it's funny. She'd be in there yelling and arguing, shouting and cussing.
poor
And
husbands.
as kids, we thought it was fascinating. But she would be drunk. I can't remember what she drank, but it was some kind of hard liquor
Oh
straight
my
from the bottle.
God. Oh, that's hilarious. That's kind of sad and hilarious at the same time, actually.
But I don't. Sorry, I know we're off on a tangent. I don't know what that has to do with loss of space.
Oh,
Not much.
Well,
do I
yeah,
gotta get my
it's
finger?
performance, so it has something to do with it.
Do I gotta get my finger out the thing drawer before you pop?
You got that right.
Jonathan Harris really was having a great time milking this, though, wasn't he? I mean, look at that. Look at that still that Jill's got here. He's just like loving to play the old feeble dude. It's hilarious.
And
Well,
of course,
his back already hurt, so they just had to he just had to amplify the pain in his back.
right.
So they really,
The pain.
yes.
Well, actually, there's that one scene where Don pulls him out of his wheelchair, and he's like, something about his back, my sensitive back. Like that's a great scene. Actually, I just wanted to mention the previous scene when they're having supper and he's like eating the broth. I thought when Dawn takes the bowl of broth over to him, that's kind of a really sweet scene. That's one of the few times they actually connect as people, right?
Yeah, because you'd think that Don was up to no good and it was a trick or something, but no, he seemed sincere.
Yeah, and they actually seem to connect. I mean, of course, Smith got crotchety and
impatient.
Give me something sweet. Give me some dessert. I want something sweet, and he got all angry. But
Yeah,
for a minute,
Don is really trying to reassure him.
Yeah, it was really cute. I thought it was a really heartwarming scene. I really enjoyed that scene.
And here we have Professor Robinson blowing up props that we've seen in prior episodes because he's trying to simulate what that ship is doing.
More explosions.
And of course, once again, he's older, but he still has not changed. He's still paranoid, and he's blaming everything on everyone else.
And selfish.
So he's still the old narcissist, right? And now, of course, we're talking about how to maybe reverse the aging process on what happened to Dr. Smith and try to make him young again. And of course, so we're going to get to the point where we're going to have the scene here soon. I'm sure it's fairly soon, where Dr. Smith and Will have a discussion which one of them should go back to try to reverse what happened. I keep thinking I'm going to say spell, but whatever it is that made Dr. Smith old. But Dr. Smith doesn't want to take the trip. He's afraid that he can't handle another trip due to his age, and he'll probably have a heart attack.
All right. Hey, Taylor says, when you're done with Lost in Space, Jill's going to have a steel cage match. Star Trek versus Lost in Space. There can only be one. And Edge of Time says, I'll never drink absinthe with Oscar Wilde because it's 2023, the current year. That explains everything.
I've always wanted to get a bottle of absinthe, but it's hard to get your hands on it, and it's very expensive.
Ain't it illegal in the United States?
I think it used to be. I'm not sure if it still is.
Oh, they have it here. I mean, you can buy it here like it's totally legal.
Yeah, but you're Canada, not United States.
Well, yeah, we have a lot of cool things in Canada. So.
Lemon Pie says Dr. Smith is at the beauty parlor.
That's a bit of a
stretch. Yeah. Dr. Smith is getting his hair did.
That's the thing. I always wanted to try absinthe, but it just is just too expensive, basically.
Yeah,
it has to be a splurge. Like if I won a lump sum of money, or I'm really celebrating something fun, or maybe with other people. Obviously, I'm not gonna buy to drink alone. But like if I was having a party or I was around friends or something, I probably would. Yeah. I always want to try it. It sounds interesting. Yeah. With the spoon and the sugar.
You got to get the sugar and you got to get it all just right. It seems like a lot of work, actually.
Right. They even have spoons designed just for absinthe with a hole.
Exactly. Yeah. It just seems like a little too much work. I just rather just, get something and pour the Coca-Cola in it and just enjoy it. And it's simple and easy.
Go ahead, Willa.
Oh, shoot. I lost my spot here. Okay, Mike says, Taylor, I'll throw Star Wars in that mix. I'll throw some grudge match. Well, Star Wars would be the guy that sits in the corner while the other two just go at it.
Yeah, I'm just not much into. It's really sad. I was the biggest Star Wars fan for the first 3 movies, and right now you couldn't get me to watch any Star Wars. Damn Disney for what they've done to it.
Yeah, I think Doctor Who would be sitting in the corner with Star Wars actually as well.
And Star Trek.
Yeah,
Oh
sad
man.
times.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
So, and here's the scene. Go ahead, Gorilla.
let's see. Oh, baby, can you read this one?
Let the Lord of Eggnog come forth. Well, I haven't had eggnog in over a month now because I just haven't got around to buying any. So damn.
Here's, here's how screwed up it is here. We only have one store, Safeway. I figured out their what they're doing, and what they do is the regular, like if I want to buy milk, and they have the brands that make milk, so and so farms, whatever, that make milk, but
Right.
there's no eggnog under the regular brands. They only have eggnog with fancy names like Jack Daniels and stuff like that. So they're like $4 for a very small container,
Oh,
$4 or
it's one of those.
$5.
Yeah, one of those specialty brands. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Right. None of the like they have like 5 dairies that make like regular milk, low fat milk, whole milk, and those are the
Yeah.
ones that are like, I don't know, like $4 a gallon. But those they don't have any eggnog by those regular companies. You have to buy the specialty stuff, which are all marked up and in small containers. So it's like, no, that's a bunch of BS.
Even the regular companies here are like four something Canadian. It's ridiculous how expensive eggnog is. And like the local supermarket 3 blocks away, they still don't have eggnog. Whereas the one that I got to drive like 10 minutes to get to, they had eggnog like a month ago, right? So go figure.
Well, I think it's very suspicious. I think those designer eggnog are owned by the same companies.
Yeah,
well, that explains why PvP froze so much of it last year.
That's
yes,
exactly,
and I don't blame you.
Well, I got it for $1.29 for 1.5 liter, bottle too. So it was a no-brainer to freeze it, right?
I would have done the same thing if I had the opportunity.
The thing is, it was like designer eggnog, like you mentioned, Pop, and it was like $6 or $7, for one. And when they marked it down to $1.29, because it was going to expire like later that week, right? And I thought, well, this is the time to buy,
Yep.
All righty. Edge Time says, "Hey, Mikey, he likes it. Bring forth the eggnog dancers. Eggnog dancers, haha." And then LOL. And then Edge Time says, those who could not hear the music thought the eggnog dancers mad. And then Scurvy says, "Eggnog power." Suzanne says, "My uncle's name was Uncle Brew. I didn't know until I was in 50s old that his real name was since he drank enough beer that the caps spelled out Brew, drank the whole thing." Yeah.
He would have gotten along great with my Aunt Bert.
Yeah, then Edge Time says it's nature's perfect food. Eggtastical eggnog exaggerators. What happened to Dr. Smith? He got old.
Okay, so this is basically a less insane version of Threshold from Voyager Star Trek. Because the ship went so fast that they mutated somehow. So it's basically like that. It's what it reminds me of. I'm sorry to relate it to a very bad Star Trek episode.
Right. Well, think about this. As we all know, and one thing that I know this is a stretch, but it based on time travel. Supposedly, if you go faster than the speed of light and you come back, you'll age by so many years, or everybody else on Earth will age, right? So there is somewhat of a kind of a story there, but you can't reverse that. It's the only thing like they're getting ready to do here.
Yeah, at least right. Well, at least it kind of makes sense that he ages. That Will gains intelligence. It doesn't make as much sense.
No, if anything, Will would have been a lot much older. Very much older. I'd have to say it would have been age. It would have been an adult Will, right? If he's going to be intelligent, you'd have to have time pass to kind of signify that he has time to learn.
Oh, that would have been interesting, but then we would have had a different actor playing Will.
You would have had to have a different actor, yes. Or like Scotty says, no, same actor, just more makeup, right?
Yeah.
It would have been fun to see Smith actually get intelligent, because that would have been a real stretch.
So you want to put Bill Mummy on some stilts in a trench coat
and try to make it believable, right? Maybe lower the voice a little bit using a synthesizer or something.
Yeah,
I just don't think it would have went over very well.
As great as the dialogue is, the whole scenario is a bit implausible, really.
Yeah.
It's more
It's Lost in
fantasy than
Space.
sci-fi.
It is a family show, as we've said before.
Yeah,
It's
at
like
least this
7
is
o'clock
actually
p.m.
Lost in Space.
Oh yeah, they were
This
definitely
is
lost
where
in space.
All right. Edge Time says when Ying meets Yang, eggnog is there. And Jill's
Eggnog's
drinking it right now, says Taylor. Sky says I have had absinthe. It used to be illegal, but the classic absinthe is very different from the current distillery. And welcome, Scotty.
I'm
Hello,
I'm
Scotty.
sure it
Good to
probably
see
is
you.
different. Yeah, hi Scotty.
And Mikey
Hi,
says,
Scotty.
"Hey Daniel, the Dr. Smith got way older for messing around with alien tech again. LOL." He says, "Ahoy," and we're getting a lot of highs to Scotty. Then Daniel says, "Mikey, that sounds interesting and kind of creepy. I thought alien tech would more often reverse aging."
actually what made me think of Threshold was this scene. I didn't even think of the fact that the space travel was mutating Will's mind, or that Dr. Smith grew older. But then when I thought that Will had changed into this monster, then I thought, oh, hey, wait, lizards. And that's where I made the
Right.
connection.
Did we?
Not,
Have we?
but fortunately, unlike the Star Trek episode, this is not actually Will.
Have we seen this creature before, or is this the first time?
First time I Lost in Space, already been used on Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar somehow. Yeah. You know, one
Right,
thing
and
I really liked about this creature was he wasn't just like a stupid monster. He actually seemed to have an intelligence, and he obviously knew how to fly these ships, right? So, even though
Yeah,
he looked creepy, he was still, basically a smart guy, right?
yeah. And we finally got an alien that looks something different than a human.
yes.
But anyhow, Taylor says, side note, anyone ever see that Weird Al movie, UHF? Nope.
I've
Yes.
heard of it, but I have not seen
Yeah,
it.
I have seen it, but I have not seen the one with Harry Potter playing Weird Al. But I saw UHF where they have that TV station, and it's a failing TV station. It's last of the ratings, and they take it over and they start doing a bunch of skits, kind of like Saturday Night Live, and they become number 1 in the ratings. It's a comedy, kind of a spoof parody with a little bit of television station.
It's a fun movie.
I would
Yeah.
say so.
All right. Mikey says, Pop, hello, Disney Evil.
That's right.
Then,
So of course they think the alien. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
yeah, Daniel says, pop culture, I'm hearing now around the net. I heard it from my folks that milk causes cancer if you drink too much.
I hadn't heard of that one. I seem to be doing okay so far. And
Yeah,
you guys
that's a
know
new one.
with what I'm going through, what I got to lose, right?
I like
Well, I
milk.
forgot to ask the doctor if I could start drinking now. I just
what did
realized
they
that's
say?
not what that. No, I'm saying is I didn't ask her because that's not the first thing on my mind. I don't drink usually, but
Okay.
that would have been funny to see the look on her face. Well, can I start swigging tonight? Can I get blitzed?
Oh man.
It is good to hear you in a good mood, though.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike says, yes, Taylor UHF was hilarious.
We got some UHF fans. See, we're not the only ones that are crazy.
Yeah. The Scurvy says, PvP's legendary eggnog purchase. Then Scotty says, threshold. Blah.
Yeah.
Edge of time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say PvP and his legendary eggnog will be spoken of for decades and generations.
Long after I'm gone, people will still be making
Right.
jokes about it. I have the feeling. Yes.
We'll make sure we construct a statue with you holding an eggnog.
Don't worry, PvP. We'll make sure it's carved on your headstone there. The story of the legendary eggnog.
The man loved his eggnog. May his
want
eggnog rest in peace.
when I pass, I just want you guys to make a lot of eggnog jokes the following week to remember.
We'll celebrate. We'll have a toast of brandy.
That's right. You guys got to all drink eggnog that day.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, I'll make a trip up to Canada and make sure to put a 6-pack of eggnog on your grave for you.
That's gonna be a long drive, Gorilla, because I'm
I'm gonna say, I think his headstone should be carved in the shape of a carton of eggnog. And that was because they're gonna steal the eggnog on the grave, obviously.
Oh God, I'm never gonna live that one down. but I don't mind. It's all good.
Come on, you gotta love the creativity of some of
Oh,
these
I
jokes.
just love it. You guys make me laugh so much. You guys are awesome.
Alrighty, so anytime when someone says they want to go down the rabbit hole, is that filthy furry talk?
Oh, that's a good one. That's yeah, that's
Hey,
getting
what
borderline there, buddy.
what happens in the rabbit hole stays in the rabbit hole. Scurvy says Jill prefers amaretto.
Yeah, I
seem to
do.
enjoy it,
Amaretto's
yeah.
great, and it's an Alice in Wonderland joke.
I remember Jill swigging the amaretto on that one live stream.
Is
That
that
was
from the
kind of fun.
drink me scene with Alice or what?
The rabbit
Is that
hole.
what she
that's,
drank?
well, that's where the
Oh,
rabbit
sorry.
hole, the rabbit goes down there.
Okay, sorry. No, it does. I thought you were talking about this. I was referring to the scene where she finds the glass that says "Drink me."
Oh,
I thought
right,
maybe you were
and she
talking about.
grows big and small.
Yes.
All right, all right. Edge Time says they
Yes.
call the Gen C more like Gen D. And Bill movie on elevator boots. LOL, Jill, you kill me. And UHF rules. And Scurvy says it has Michael Richards, UHF. And Edge says Dishonorano is by shot of choice. Jill has excellent taste again. The 12%
Disaronno.
is a more manageable buzz. I don't know. I got an 8% beer here right now.
8%. That'll do the job.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad. It's a brown ale.
Is it darker? Like an IP?
I don't know. It's in a can still. And Daniel says that looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's a good. Hey, is this costume also from Journey to the Bottom of the Sea or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea?
Yes, it is. In fact, you can tell because it has gills. Obviously, it looks like something that should be underwater. It belongs underwater.
Yeah.
And if you look carefully, I don't know if I don't remember if I noticed this as a kid, but now being these days everything high definition, you can see the actor's eyes inside the lens.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember. Do you remember that as a kid, PvP?
Not really, but it's been a long time since I was a kid, so I don't remember a whole heck of a lot, actually.
Well, I do remember when I first saw Star Wars in '77. There was a couple times where I could see the actor's eye inside of R2-D2.
Okay.
Because there's that cool dome-looking thing, and every now and then when he was turning his head, you could see his eye inside there. I remember that, but I don't remember seeing it here or noticing.
The thing was, in 1965, it was actually on our TV station because I guess Lost in Space was doing pretty good in the ratings back then. So I'd go over my friend's house, Gary, and we'd like total 7-year-old kids. We'd lie on the floor like 3 feet away from the TV, soaking
Which
up
was
all
probably
that
a 19-inch, right? Probably a 19-inch.
I think they had a 25. They were pretty good, but of course it was black and white and everything. But I mean, back then, the picture was probably pretty fuzzy compared to what we have today. So I probably couldn't tell the actor's eyes from anything else, basically. So and I was 7, so I really don't remember much in the way of details. I just remember if I liked the episode or I didn't like it, and I usually did.
Right.
Lost in Space was fun.
All right, Scurvy here says I will pour eggnog on the curb for the fallen.
Thank you, Scurvy.
Daniel says from space. And then Suzanne says I'm making eggnog French toast. Nice.
Ooh, that sounds.
I saw a lot of recipes. I even saw where they froze them on a stick like ice creams. And I thought that's interesting.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Then Mikey says, "Yummy, Suzanne. Skim milk French toast and eggless is awesome." And Daniel says, "Mikey, now that the actor strike is finally over, Deadpool 3 will start filming again sometime before Thanksgiving. Marvel movie release dates Deadpool July 26th." Okay.
Yeah, 2025 or later. Everything's been bumped a year.
Then we're getting release dates for a lot of other stuff here. Then, oops, I almost banned Mikey. He's a great update, Daniel. And Scotty says Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. I don't get why they moved Captain America July 4 to July 2005. They finished filming in June 23. Sorry, Fish. I don't know.
Are you looking forward to the next Captain America movie, Daniel?
The reason they
Well, I think
moved is probably because the guy do reshoots because the audience hated it so much. I'm going to guess.
I don't remember now. It's the new Captain America with the guy that was the guy with wings. I don't remember his name. I
I
lost
love how
interest at that point.
I love how they do test screenings, and generally the audience, is like thumbs down, so they got to like spend a year reshooting it, right?
Well, what's crazy is the guy who was in Captain Winter the Winter Soldier, that TV series, which was terrible, had low ratings, and it's the same idiot that told the white senator, you got to do better. It's like, oh yeah, we all want to pay to go see a movie. More of that, don't we?
Well, I don't
Reminding the
go see
patriarchy,
movies anymore.
who they are.
I've given up going to movies actually. So yeah.
Well, and if I did, it would not be Disney. Disney would be the last one. But yeah, same here. I won't go back. I don't think I'm in my lifetime they're ever going to make a movie good enough that I'm going to want to see.
There's very few movies like I can't get excited about. I mean, if Deadpool 3 sounded like it was going to be really good, that's when I might make an exception for it. But since it's Disney now, I'm really not holding my breath.
Right, I'm
anymore.
realistic. I like Deadpool, but I'm realistic. Coming out of Disney, I don't trust them.
Yeah. I love the first two films. I mean, they were great, but I got a feeling the third one's going to probably suck, so yeah.
Well, like I said on this stream the other night, look what they did to Sam Raimi and some of the other good directors. They just totally screwed them over. So only Disney has the power to take really good, talented people and turn their stuff into crap.
Yeah, that seems to be their stock in trade, doesn't it?
Yep. So we have the Robinsons here. Oh, go ahead, Gorilla.
I was gonna say, can we get back on track here, or
let's go.
Play the
right. Okay, so here's where the alien grabs Dr. Smith, takes it aboard the little ship, because what we just have is a scene where Will is trying to convince the alien to take him back. So Will does. The alien does. He takes Dr. Smith and he puts him in the ship, and they zoom off. And then we have later where the Robinson family have constructed this sign because they don't know if Dr. Smith is coming back, and they're confused why the alien took him. But we're going to come up to the scene here where the alien ship does return.
Though, why are they confused? Will asked him to do this, and then they seem confused, baffled that the alien does exactly what he.
Well, remember, right? But when Will was pleading with the alien, he didn't use the robot as an interpreter. So that's why they figured that the alien probably didn't understand Will. But then we find out once they come back,
but the alien learned English from them. But the alien does give them him an affirmation. He kind of nods.
He does kind of nod, but I guess they didn't understand that. What if that was for us, the audience, or to appease the ratings? But they did say that the alien learned English from listening to Will.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I just leave it on here because we don't know how long Zach was gone, but he was gone long enough for them to erect this sign.
Yeah, we don't know how long Daddy Zach was gone.
I'm betting that Dawn did not write this sign, by the way.
This particular monster, with only minor adjustments, had already appeared in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea as the Fishman. Paul Z said, "What are you going to do? There was no time or money. I figured a fishman was a fishman, whether it land or sea. If I could cut $1 off somewhere, I would do it. Generally, we were given about $250 to work up a costume. I defy you to try and do that today. You can't even buy a cashmere sweater for that price." The bottom line was an ongoing directive from Irwin Allen's office to shave costs. In 21st century terms, reduce, reuse, recycle. So Allen's office was where the Fishman and many other costumes would be taken for approval. Paul Zeseptovich said, "You would see me leading an actor wearing a Fishman costume over to Irwin's office. He would approve it, and I would lead the Fishman back to wardrobe. It became a running gag to see who I would be dragging in through the Fox lot next."
That's hilarious.
That's pretty cool. You know what's really strange is that the Enterprise incident and this episode both have this Mark Twain reference. So the last episode, the last Star Trek episode I reviewed, and this
Oh, that's right.
Lost in Space
Yes.
episode has the report of my disappearance seems to have been greatly exaggerated. In Star Trek, it was the, of my death. The reports of my death have been exaggerated.
Well, that's Mark Twain's reference was the report of my death, right? If I remember
Yes,
correctly. So
correct.
Yeah, I picked up on that instantly too. I was like, hey, that's really cool. Working at a little bit of, little
Well,
bit
a
of
coincidence, right? It was 2 weeks,
there.
right? And it was a coincidence that it was just a few days apart that we covered these 2 episodes.
That is amazing, actually.
All right. Hey, good night, Suzanne. I hope you have a good night.
Good night, Suzanne. Take care. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, have
Good
a
night,
good one.
Suzanne.
So we have Dr. Smith returned back to normal, and he doesn't like that sign at all. Of course, as Jill mentioned about his death was greatly exaggerated. So he does tear down the sign, and of course he has an attitude. But he is happy to be back, obviously. He even actually calls the robot his friend in a way instead of the typical insult. And then what we cut to here is, I'm guessing the next day, where we have Professor Robinson with Dr. Smith at an entrance of a cave. Dr. Smith has lost one of their laser pistols, and Professor Robinson is upset because he knows that that's not something they can afford to lose. And he insists Dr. Smith show him where he lost it. And that looks like, is that the same set from last week where Will fell?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Isn't this
That does look familiar. I think you're right.
Isn't this the next episode? Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, I think all their cave episodes are kind of like Star Trek, where everything was the exact same cave.
I know, but it's supposed to be. Well, here it's more believable because they're on one planet. But on Star Trek, they can change it up if they're on a different planet every week. But I think that's the same one that Will and the robot fell down and discovered the sleeping princess from last week.
It looks very.
I mean, maybe
similar,
a little bit modified, right? Maybe a little modified or a little bit redressed, but
it's still
odd, especially being right next to the 2 episodes back to back.
It's better than the Star Trek episodes. That's one of the things that always kind of annoyed me a tiny bit about Star Trek is you could pretty much tell those paper mache caves, right? It was like, yeah.
No, I thought
sometimes they were in a real cave.
Yeah, but sometimes it just look like paper mache walls.
Well, here, Lost in Space, they probably did too, but being black and white, it's not as easy to tell.
Hey, That's Devil in the Dark is my favorite Star Trek episode, so I don't mind.
I don't know. In fact, that cave was good, and that was some of that was from Bronson Caves.
I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. I'm just saying they had a budget, right, Jill? So and they had to work within it. So it's like I'm not condemning them for, sometimes having cheaper sets, but it was just a fact back in the '60s. I still love Star Trek, though. Shit, you ought to know that. I'm a big Trekkie fan, so. Yeah.
As a reminder, everyone, I did put a poll in the chat. If you're able to give us your opinion on what you think about this episode.
I just remembered.
I'm glad I remembered this week. I forgot the last couple times.
Yeah,
but if you're so inclined to vote, everyone, you can vote on either what you think about this episode or you can vote on our coverage of how we talked about this episode. And once again, as usual, I encourage everybody to watch it separately away from this review, because since we have to skip so many sentences, and of course, and with all our tangents going on, I urge you to watch it on your own on a streaming service. I think it is available on a few streaming services. We're watching it on soap.2.net. And because just like when we covered Gilligan's Island and the horror movies, I recommend you watching the originals because we don't want to ruin the experience, especially if you're interested in being introduced to this first time, or if you're introducing like maybe another generation, like maybe kids. You don't want the kids to be introduced through this stream here. You want them to watch the actual show uncut and unedited. And we're going to go around with our reviews here as I usually do with our celebrity panelists, and then I will cover the reviews from the chat. So as usual, sorry for my one path mind, but I usually go clockwise. So if it's okay with you, Jill, can we go with you first on your review and tell us about your channel?
Sure, yes. So while this is a fairly simplistic kind of story, and it doesn't really leave you all that much to consider, but it was still a vast improvement over the last couple of episodes in regards to how much I enjoyed visiting this little concept of a spaceship that could get them home, but of course it's not going to get them home because they need to stick around for a couple more seasons. So
That's
it's and Lost in Space is supposed to be sci-fi fantasy, so it makes sense that we don't get to learn too much about how this ship works or anything like that. And it's supposed to be fantasy, so and it doesn't make me as mad as even though I did make Threshold comparisons. Threshold also threw in some weird biology of evolution and all this weird stuff. And it kind of messed up the lore of Star Trek in general, and so there was none of that here, so what makes me mad about that episode doesn't exist here, so I give this one more of a B-. It was fun. Even though, the communication with the alien was kind of suspect in how it learned how to communicate only with when Will spoke to him, that how that happened, we're really not sure, but my favorite part is that the robot is now a universal translator, so I hope that continues forth. What I'm interested to see is if Will's plans for a reconstructed Jupiter 2 will come up again, or even if he finished that design, or if anybody could even understand it afterwards.
it's probably like I was thinking, and I thought about this when Dr. Smith put on that helmet. It reminds me of that helmet that Dr. McCoy puts on in Spock's brain. They suddenly get a greased intelligence, but then you start to forget as soon as the power is over. Or gone or whatever.
Possibly.
Wears off after a while, I guess. But thank you. And would you like to tell us about your channel?
Sure. My channel is Antiderivative Jill. I enjoy science fiction, and tomorrow I'm going to be reviewing Star Trek The Original Series, Season 3, and The Children Shall Lead. So far in
Everyone's
Season
favorite.
3, I know, we've actually...
Oh,
I defended that episode.
You
One of the-
defended it? Great. So...
one of the
So-
best episodes of the whole series for sure.
Well, of course, the thing is, we've been going in production order, and actually, season 3 hasn't been so bad so far. This is our first. Oh, this is the season 3 episode.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
the infamous
Is
ones.
it ever?
So thank you guys, and I'm not going to have a Friday show because I'm preparing for a collaboration with Cinema Gulp, and I already know my headspace is not going to be wanting to think about putting on another show when I'm going to want to put my all into what I'm doing with Cinema Gulp. So stay
good luck with
tuned
that.
in December for what we do with that, because he pre-records and then he edits and everything. He's gonna make it fancy.
So you're talking a show coming up in like 3 weeks or something. So.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. Keep us up to date on this. We can all tune in.
Yeah,
Definitely.
let us know
Thank
when
you.
it's
Yeah.
going to be on.
When it'll premiere live, I'm sure, and so we can. Yeah, I'll tell you when that happens.
That'll
I can't
be
wait.
great.
Very cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Jill, and I appreciate your review as well.
Thanks.
Get my glasses. There we go. And now your turn, Gorilla. Would you like to tell us what you thought of this episode and share with us about your channel?
Well, the first 15 seconds had me cheering on, yeah. Then it had me cussing at Will. But, no, it's interesting. And the only reason I'm going to give this an A- is because they did what Threshold failed to do. They made it. It's pretty much the same story, except they didn't do salamanders. They just aged Dr. Smith there. And there's a lot, but there's also a lot of times I just wanted to smack the crap out of Will there, because I know my parents would have. I've talked to him like that. But it's kind of an interesting story. And plus, we got our first non-human looking alien that's actually intelligent. But
we've had different monster aliens. It's just that this was an intelligent one that didn't try to kill him.
That's why I meant intelligent one, like one that could
Okay,
actually.
gotcha.
Otherwise, like all the other intelligent aliens we run into, we're all just humans with the fancy garb on, like they're going to a costume party. But
Right.
but then there was a few plot holes in there, like the Earth thing and all that other stuff. But I'm not gonna hold it against the episode.
No, and without giving away too many spoilers, don't worry, everybody. We will get to see Earth again. So, Gorilla, tell us about your channel.
Well, let's see. I do. We're down to 2 watch parties a week plus a occasional cringe stock, which I might try to do one on Saturday and maybe one on Sunday. But let's see. We do Justified on Wednesdays, and then we got our Sunday cinemas. We're gonna be doing American Wedding on Sunday, but Saturday we're actually gonna start doing movie reviews there. So that it's because it's usually just me and German, maybe a couple others swing in and say hi to us on Saturdays, but otherwise it's just the 2 of us watching. So what we're gonna do is do movie reviews, and I'm gonna start out with the original 80 Around the World in 80 Days. There, then
Nice.
they'll be Germ's picks there, and then on Fridays this Friday we are reviewing the Waltons episode, the Airmail Van. There, that one there.
Cool.
Come for the review. Stay because you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. I will be there. I like your review, so I will be there.
That's pretty much it.
Well, plus he's got a lot of shorts out there that are hilarious too. So check out when he's got new shorts.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's here that you guys see. Please sub to the channels and make sure you hit those alert buttons. Not only subbing, if you only sub, you won't necessarily get the alerts when we start streaming. So make sure you click those little bells for our channels, because we've got a lot of variety of as you can tell from listening to what everybody's saying when they describe the channel. We have a lot of variety of things on there that's worth checking out. Thank you for your review, Gorilla.
Yeah, no problem.
And your turn, PvP. Tell us what you thought about this episode. What kind of grade would you give it?
I'll give it an A-. I really enjoyed this one. Like, I agree with Gorilla. Like, the story wasn't all that interesting. It was pretty simplistic, but I just really love the dialogue in this. Like, it was really well written. Like, you know, overall, the dialogue was great for all the characters, I thought, in this one. Especially Will. I mean, Will's dialogue was fantastic. When he got his intelligence boosted to a superhuman level, and he was so arrogant, but it was believable because, he was just really smart. So he wasn't really trying to talk down to people, but he just was, because he was just far more intelligent than the rest of them. And it's like there's a few lines where he was talking to Dr. Smith, and he's like, "Oh, you're so transparent, Dr. Smith. Try to be more subtle." I just love those lines. They were just like, yes, that's what I've been thinking the whole damn season. It's like, be more subtle, Smith, because you are transparent, like totally transparent. So I really love the writing. I'm still a little dubious that if Peter Packer wrote all of this, because usually, well, you know what I think of Peter Packer in general. I'm not a big fan of his writing, and
Right.
this seemed to be an exceptional script for him. So I'm not sure if there was somebody else that polished, some of the dialogue and improved it. But if
You know
this
what?
was
I just had a theory is that doesn't the actor for Dr. Smith come up with his own lines sometimes? And
Yes, he
the lines
often
that
rewrites the script.
the
Yeah.
lines that Will said kind of feel a bit similar. And I was wondering maybe if he
I would
helped.
say yes. That would make a lot of sense if that was Jonathan Harris writing a lot of Will's lines
It's
with
possible.
the
Yeah, I mean,
attitude that he has, right? The way he's dismissive of everyone.
I have no way of knowing, though. That's the problem, right? It's like, so I mean, since Peter is the guy that's credited with the episode, I have to give him some credit as the official writer. But I agree with Jill. I'm kind of dubious as to, because I generally am not a Peter Packer fan, to be honest, guys. You know that I've mentioned this before, but if he actually wrote the dialogue in this, I'll give him 2 thumbs up and go, wow, dude, you could actually write something really good when you put your mind to it. So I don't know. Anyway, I give it an A-. I thought it was an average episode. I liked having the alien. even though he was a fish man or whatever, it was fun to actually finally get an intelligent alien that actually knew how to fly spaceships and do all that kind of stuff. So that was a great change of pace, and yeah, I love the dialogue. That was the strong point for the episode, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
What would you like to tell us about your channel?
Well, I'm still just working on music playlists and nothing much actually exciting to mention more than that, really. So I'm just working away
Well,
on
maybe
music.
we can get you to stream one of these days soon.
I
Some of
hope
these
so.
movies that,
I hope so.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of movies that you like, and you'd like to share with us.
yeah. I
So
would like
yeah,
to do that
hopefully in the near
eventually.
future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Thank you, PvP. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome.
And I would say I'm going to give it an A. I'm getting an A or an A minus. I like the episode uh, for a lot of the same reasons that you guys did, obviously. Um, I think it's kind of it. I like when those props show up between when they go from one different show to another. I recognize the diving bell, but I haven't seen Voyage to the bottom of the year, bottom of the sea in years, and I'd have to see that episode again. I need to look it up because I do have that on my server. And like you guys have said, I like the writing. I appreciate that, and it is exceptional for Peter Packer. It was nice to see the family again. And some of the ladies get some lines, which this lady seemed to get neglected a lot. So it was nice that everybody was pitching and getting a little more screen time this time around. I like the interaction, like you guys said, between the fact that when Will had the smarter intellect, Dr. Smith knew not to push him too much because normally if Will talks towards Dr. Smith in that manner, Dr. Smith usually gets upset, but he didn't in this episode. He knew he had to play a different game and he had to raise his level, which is what he did. He'll manipulate. He knows how smart somebody is, and he knows how to keep raising his chicanery to match their intelligence until he finally wins whatever he wants to and whatever he gets. And it didn't kind of make sense that he didn't go to Earth, but like we said, it's like Gilligan's Island. They can't be rescued, or we don't get a show. And I'm going to be showing this inspires me to. There are interviews that Jonathan Harris did in later years. They even did when the 1998 movie came out. They had a small reunion on TV with Dr. Smith, the Robot, and Will. And it was actually Jonathan Harris, very old in about his 80s. So I need to get a clip of that and post it so you guys can see what he looked like in real life in his 80s compared to the makeup on that show. It was the same with William Shatner. It's fascinating to look how they had him dressed up to look old in the Deadly Years, and now he's old, but he doesn't look like he did in the Deadly Years. So it's like that. Dr. Smith looked different. And I'll show a clip of that. It's some behind the scenes. I just don't want to get a copyright strike. I was thinking about that earlier. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to give it an A minus because overall I'm happy with it.
Well, it's
And
a
I'm
big
glad that
improvement from the last few weeks for sure.
and it's your way that I think we're going to go out. And we're going to show. I'll be showing the trailer or the teaser for next week's episode, and you'll know when you see the preview that between this episode and the next one, which will be like I said, this is the penultimate. But between this one and the next one, I think you'll see that they're going out of season 1 with the bang, because I'm glad they kind of buried that last one with the Sleeping Beauty in the last week's episode, so that it's going to get our excitement built up to where we're going to be eager to see the next season. And when I'm going to make it something different here. Is usually when I show the clip for next week's episode, I usually do it as we're ending the stream because I'll show the clip of the trailer and then I'll show the ending of my channel bumper and then we end. But in this case, the last stream of the season, like I said, we're going to be showing it next Tuesday, Monday, and then the following Monday we're going to be covering the pilot. But I'm going to show tonight. I'm going to show this trailer for next week, and then I wanted us to talk about it for a moment before I end the stream. So when you guys see me play the teaser for next week, please don't leave. We're going to have a chat afterwards, if that makes sense, before I end. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, or end it, I guess, as they say.
Yeah.
And then let me share it with everybody, and then I'm gonna.
Should we catch up on chat before we do the poll?
That's a great idea. Thank you, Gorilla.
All right, now where the hell was it? Because we've got a lot of chats from.
Oops,
There.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I knew I need to shut my mouth and stop talking so much.
Yeah. Daniel says Captain America's okay, but Deadpool 3 is on top of my list. Love multiverse travel and love Deadpool like Wolverine on acid. He can regrow a lot of slims when you take the Wolverine's. But the problem with the multiverse is that it has like no risk anymore. And then Edge of Time,
right? Nobody dies, right?
Yeah, nobody stays dead. Well, people still die,
Right.
but nobody stays dead if they want to bring them back because there are lots of ideas. He says the ladies really sent some mixed signals on Bumble. No wonder it stonks tanks. Fun fact: 2 out of 3 of all dating sites are owned by the company in Dallas. Okay, that's pretty random. Suzanne said, "Sorry, Pop. All the fire has given me a migraine, so I'm off to bed. Dear, have a good stream night, all."
Oh, she probably already did.
Yeah, we already said goodbye to her. We already did say goodbye to her. So I bet you should have mentioned that. Thanks heaven, there's a Lost in Space. Then Harrison Ford's both starring in Brave New World and Thunderbolts. The alien is from the 6th dimension. Apparently, this is good night, Suzanne. Well, guest starring. Daniel says, "I love that Harrison Ford is Thunderbolt Ross and becomes the Red Hulk."
I don't know. Well, wait. I have to say, I'm a fan of. I used to be a fan of Harrison Ford until he made that last Indiana Jones movie. He's too old to be paying General Ross. I mean, come on, they're just doing that just for the star name. But he's too old. I'm a fan of the Incredible Hulk. He's too old. He's too old. Way too old. Too old. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, talk about having a monopoly on dating, says Edge of Time. Then Scurvy says, is this scenario the kind Jill also drinks in
Yes.
Edge of Time?
It is. That is the kind.
So I take it Jill's an almond liqueur kind of gal.
I just happen to be drinking a bunch of it lately. I don't know necessarily.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know.
Sounds
So
yummy.
are we going to get a drunken Jill stream?
I like wine, too. Wine's pretty great.
Oh, so you're a whiner.
Well, so what kind of wine can I get
I
that's
could
sweet, not
be.
bitter, Jill?
Sweet.
Is it the red
I
wine
don't
that's
know.
sweet?
I like when they mix 3 different kinds of wine,
Do you
red
like-
wine together.
That's
Hey,
exotic.
Hey, Pop, do you like tart wine?
No, that's what I don't like is the tart or the bitter. I want.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know which one's sweet. There's got to be sweet wine out there, right? That
Rose
doesn't
wine.
taste bitter.
Rose wine. You want like rose-colored wine?
Like rosé kind of wine, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I can't-
Interesting.
a lot of them on the back of the bottle will tell you the sweetness versus dryness.
Yeah, they got a number, don't they, as far as sweetness goes, if I remember. Yeah.
So high to low, like is one bitter, one sweet? You know, how does that work?
Well, you can just talk to your wine thing, tell them you want a sweet wine to your local liquor store.
Yeah, I'm sure the people at the liquor store could probably advise you on what's a good sweet wine, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell them a nice sweet wine, and when I look good standing out in front of the liquor store all day, right?
or I could talk about I could have my sister on when we talk to it, and she can give you wine recommendations.
Okay,
But
that sounds like a
anyhow,
plan.
Scurvy says, I need some good recommendations. Then Sky says, in First Contact, the reports of my assimilation may have been greatly exaggerated. Said by Picard, here, I found something you lost, LOL. Yeah, PvP's math teacher knows all about tangents. And I'm the Horda. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. You're a physician, and that's your patient. And Mike
That's right.
says, solid for me. Daniel says, sent you a cool vid, Pop. It's interesting. And welcome,
Cool,
JL.
thank you.
Welcome,
Hi, Jay.
JL. It's a good episode.
Hello, Jerry. Welcome. Good to see you. Glad you could join us.
That's in order. Hi, Jay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we just finished watching the episode. So, Jay, if you get a chance, try to consider watching it on the rerun. We just watched it, and each of us on the panel reviewed it and gave our opinions. I was just about ready to give the results of the poll in the chat. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Jay. I do appreciate it. Go ahead, Gorilla. Sorry.
And Taylor says Jill's taking off Friday so she can go to the steakhouse.
Maybe that's part of the video.
Yeah.
The cynical.
And Mike says, hello. Hope you're feeling better, my friend. And Agitai says, did you know Desario is one of the 2 towns to claim they originated amaretto?
Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Never knew that.
Cool info.
I don't drink much amaretto. I like my horny parrots.
Horny
Horny
parrot.
parrots?
Yeah, it's peach schnapps, Malibu, cranberry juice, and pineapple juice.
That sounds good and
Ugh.
sweet.
Oh, yeah, it's delicious.
That sounds
Only
like a bit of
problem
an
is-
exotic mix.
It makes you horny as a parrot, I'll tell you that.
Run away, everybody!
Uh-oh.
Run away!
Just make sure you got your pants on when you're drinking that, then, girl.
Come on, you're taking half the fun out of it. Daniel says, I love Lost in Space 1998 movie, still hoping for a sequel. Yeah,
Daniel, did you know that Dawn, Penny, Judy, and Maureen all did cameos in that 98 movie, right? Maybe I should put those clips together and show them next week. I just don't want to, obviously, copyright warning. But I will show enough clips for you guys. And if you guys, Jill, did you notice that when you saw the 98 movie?
Haven't seen the 98 movie yet.
Okay, gotcha.
After we finish season 1 is when I'm going to go do that.
Well, I'm not recommending it in any way. I'm just mentioning that they do cameo. They
Yeah,
do cameos.
I've heard enough about it to avoid it so far. So, yeah. It sounds like the cameos would be the one good thing about the movie from what I've heard.
Well, the only one that they really get some lines is Major West and, well, I should say the actor's name, Mark Goddard and who plays the mother again?
Oh, no.
No, Guy Williams is already dead by that point. June Lockhart, and Mark Goddard, they get a few lines, but Penny and Judy are reduced to like one line.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wait, Guy Williams was already dead by then?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he died early age,
70s,
like in the
didn't he?
80s, 70s, 80s.
80s?
Yeah, he moved to South. Okay, he's as we mentioned earlier on this stream, before Lost in Space, Guy Williams was doing Zorro, and in South America they absolutely loved it. It was like the #1 show, and they showed it for decades. By the way, they loved him so much they idolized him. So that's where he moved, and eventually ended up dying. Was in South America.
Was it Argentina where he moved to? I'm just guessing,
Could
but I
be.
think it might have been.
Could be. I need to cover that. I need to do same with Gilligan's Island. I need like a little mini bios of each of the cast.
Yeah, because he didn't seem that old and Lost in Space here, so I'm dying that young.
Yeah, he retired at an early age.
He died pretty young, I think. It was so what, in his 50s, probably.
Well, he did that. He did that cameo on Family Feud that I showed that clip from, and that's when Bill Movies and all of them said that was the last time they saw him. So he definitely quit acting at an early age, but he wasn't poor. I mean, the where he lived, like I said, they idolized him, so they took care of him really well.
Oh yeah, no, American dollar down in Argentina will make a lot of money, or is worth a lot. But anyhow, Taylor says a drunk or high Jill stream is what we need.
That'd be fun.
That would be something that would probably happen at night. I don't know. I wouldn't be doing that at noon.
No, not in front of the kids. No, that wouldn't be good.
Come on, you take half the fun out of it.
Just do it on the weekend, Jill, so I can watch. That'd be fun.
We'll see. I'll think about it.
He was 65 when he died.
Hey, and I'll even come on.
That's not too bad.
Hey, and I'll even get drunk with you, Jill, if you do it on the weekend. If you
do it on the weekend, I'll get drunk with you too, Jill.
And I want to mention that I feel honored that I want to mention, Jill, that I feel honored, and I'll never forget that you went on camera during my fundraiser. That was very kind of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That was for a good reason, and I'm so glad that everything worked out for the best. That it
did. Thanks to all of you. Yes.
Yeah, and it got an extra $20 there when I sold the timestamp to Bird.
Oh yeah! Happy birthday, Bird of Prey 5.
Happy birthday, Bird of Prey. And Mama Prank's birthday's coming up in December.
Oh, my birthday's December too.
Oh, so we got some Christmas babies here. Okay,
Okay,
I'm
we
cool.
need some birthday streams here.
I'm a December baby also. When's
So we're
yours?
gonna get some birthday streams from you guys,
We need
right?
birthday streams next month. Yeah.
When's yours, Jill?
10th.
Oh, so
Yeah.
close, so close.
Oh, that's only a few weeks away.
Mine's the 5th.
That's like a month away.
I can't wait. That's gonna be great. Then I love these birthday streams.
Yeah. And Scurvy says rose can be bitter. Oh, Ken, he goes, and Daniel says, I never drink wine ever. Yeah.
That's me.
I can't drink wine. It gives me indigestion, unfortunately.
I usually get puking it up.
Well,
it just gives me heartburn. That's why I can't drink this. I could have like 1 or 2 glasses and then I'm done, basically. So, yeah.
you rookie.
I can't drink wine. I mean, I could drink beer all day and I'm probably fine. You know, I could drink anything, but I just can't drink wine. It's just like, nope. Well, it's like tequila. I can't drink tequila either because
I could drink mixed drinks because I love them so much, but I'm such a lightweight. I won't last long.
Yeah, it depends on the amount and the speed you're drinking, I guess.
Yeah.
If you got to moderate yourself, I suppose.
If I get the good stuff, I drink too fast. Something really sweet, like let's say margaritas. I just swig those so fast. I need a funnel.
That can be the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. By the way, he did. Guy Williams did die in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I guess I made a good guess there.
Yep. It was as far as acting. We're all thinking, wow, he died at an early age, but in reality, 65 isn't too early. It's just the fact that he retired from acting, I think, and we didn't see him anymore. I think it makes it seem like that.
Yeah. If I wasn't 65, I would agree with you, Pop.
I'm
not ready to check out yet.
No, you're not ready to check out, but I mean, it's longer than people thought because he retired. We would expect him to do other TV shows and stuff after Lost.
Well, the thing is, too, some people's check out when they're in their 20s or whatever, right? So it's like 65 isn't that bad. I agree.
No, it could be worse.
It looks like Scotty's heading out.
See you later, Scotty. Have a great night.
We'll see you, Scotty.
See you soon, Scotty.
And Scurvy here says the Jewish kosher wine is sweet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Scotty says, fine, you guys want to encourage me? I have to get a drink.
Go for it there, Scott.
There you go. Bad influence are we.
Have one for me, buddy.
And Scurvy says, I'm having wine now. It's Pinot Noir, or however the hell you pronounce it. It's
Pinot Noir?
Sure, we'll go.
It's
noir.
It's not noir, like in like in noir films. I'm guessing.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Film noir.
Film noir. That's what I was thinking about.
Then, at the times the rose by any other name would still taste as sweet.
Yes.
I never knew they made cameos in the '98 movie, says Daniel. And Jay says, I, for one, did not like the Lost in Space movie. I've never seen it, so.
Cuba Goldman wrote it. No, it's written by the same guy who does everything Cuba Goldman put his hand on turned to crap. So, and he's working on the new track, so that'll tell you.
Oh, shit. I'm kind of a purist. Like, it's like, if I'm watching an old show like 65 Lost in Space, it's like, that's pretty much what I stick to, I guess.
Yeah.
Are we done with the chat?
Someone else read for a little bit?
What's that?
I asked if someone else can read for a little bit. I'm starving here. I'm trying to eat my ramen.
Scotty R37 says the robot get his original voice.
You talking
yes,
Bob?
Dick Tufeld. He's talking about the '98 movie. Dick Tufeld, the announcer here from the original Lost in Space, and who did the voice of the robot, was still alive. So he also did the robot. That was the only good highlight of the new movie. I always thought, with the fact that they did get Dick Tufeld to do the robot, and with the new sound systems and 6 speakers, it really sounded good the way it resonated through the theater. Because I was really excited about seeing it, and with the audio the way it was, it sounded really good to hear his voice. and I'm glad the whole cast was all invited to do cameos in one way or another. But it's similar to what Linda Moore said about that last Star Trek movie generation. I can't believe I'm even talking about it. I hated that movie, but it was the same thing Linda Moore said. Why do you want me to be in this? All it is a quick cameo. Just walk on and walk off. I'm not going to bother wasting my time. That's what Jonathan Harris and Bill Mooney both did. But the other people did do cameos, including Dick Tufeld. Edge of Time shows some birds, parrots, cheers, a horn, a couple of horns. Herc 130 says, I retired young too, but it didn't stick.
Hey, did we
And
lose Jill?
Scotty R37 says, Flyboy.
I got it.
And thank you. And Jill returns. Good to see you again, Jill. Lemon Pie says, I'd rather see drunk than high. Yeah, drunk than high. Herc 130 says, Scotty R37. Lemon Pie says, Herc. And Daniel says, happy birthday, Berto Pray 5. Sorry, I missed the stream. Yeah, it was fun. We talked about a lot of interesting things. Scotty R37 says 27 years old. Well, that's even younger. Herc 130 says lemon. Scotty says, okay, I'm seriously going for a drink. If I don't catch you, I'll see you late. Okay, Scotty, have a great night. Thank you for stopping by.
Night, Scott.
Lemon Pie says, Scotty, do you have to leave your residence?
Ooh.
And Jay says, my favorite characters of Lost in Space was the robot and Dr. Smith. Yes, that's what we were mentioning earlier, that it was a great idea that the network insisted on adding them to the show. And we're going to be, Jay, we're going to be watching the pilot here in 2 weeks. So if you want to check it out, and you'll see, if you haven't already seen it, you'll see an episode before they added Dr. Smith and the robot. Lemon Pie says, or is it possible you can't make it back from your fridge, Scotty? Well, that's always a possibility I haven't thought of. Okay, I've been promising it, and here we go. I'm going to cover the results from the chat that everybody voted on. And it looks like it did disappear.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that way's too long. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it back. Yeah, I guess I was too long blabbing. There it is. Good. Okay. I guess so that tells us now I'll need to keep an eye out, because when I pop out the chat, the time is limited, because I guess it doesn't show it for very long. So let's cover that before it gets a chance to disappear again. Bear with me, guys. Where's the poll? There we go. What grade would you give a change of space? And it looks like we had 10 votes. And nice, we got 60% said A plus to A minus, 30% for B plus to B minus, 10% for C plus to C minus, and 0%, which is good news. Nobody absolutely outright hated it. So that's always a good thing, right?
Oh, it looks like I forgot to vote in the poll.
Oh, there it is, Gorilla. Shame. Yeah, thank you for voting, everybody. I appreciate that. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show don't leave, don't hang up. I'm going to show the teaser really quick for next week. And then I want everyone's thoughts on the teaser before we end the stream and say goodnight. So let me get ready and share that with everyone. If I don't mess it up like I usually do. So we just watched A Change of Space, right?
Episode 28. Yeah. One more to go.
One more to go, and okay, I got to look it up. So, what's the name of it? Because I usually, I'm trying to remember what I named the clip. Give me just a moment. I actually did get it ready ahead of time before the end of the episode.
Oh, here,
there it is.
I got it.
Here, yeah, got it. All right, here we go. And I got to make sure that the audio is turned up. It should be. Bear with us, like I said, everybody.
Oh, let's see. Edge of Time says, never drink Dracar Noir, even if you are locked down in rehab.
That must be really bad stuff.
for getting the Jupiter 2 back into space.
Approach, John Robinson. And while you sleep, I will take over your body.
Any objections, Maureen?
No, you can't.
And there it is. What do you guys think?
Well, it looks like it's going out on some action-packed action there, if that makes any sense.
And it goes from black and white to color.
And to color, yeah, that was very cool at the last second, wasn't it? Yeah, it's like,
I don't know. I think I
yay!
saw a dinosaur.
Yeah, there was like one of those lizards. They like glue a fin on the back kind of thing, Jill.
Of course, you got to have that, right? The old Irwin Allen
Yeah.
trope.
Yeah, I prefer Ray Harryhausen dinosaurs, but oh well.
But unfortunately, they couldn't do that on a TV budget when they have what do you say, a few $100 and
Exactly.
maybe an hour or two to film it. Ray Harryhausen, it would take him like months to get it like 2 or 3 seconds on film, right?
He'd be working a whole year to get that episode ready, right, Pop?
Yes, exactly. Which
No,
is
I
I want to
understand.
cover. I want to start covering more of his movies on my Tuesday streams as well.
Actually, Jill and I watched Jason the Argonauts. Gosh, has it been like a year since we watched that, Jill? Like, I can't believe I've been hanging out with you guys for so long. It's kind of mind-boggling. But we had a great time watching that. I've
Yeah,
always
that was a cool
wanted.
movie.
It was a great.
Did you like
movie,
it,
wasn't
Jill?
Did it was
Then I have to
it was
ask you,
really
since you
well
saw
done.
it. Then I have to ask you, Jill. Did you see it? The reference when the skeletons came out of the ground and started fighting. Did you notice how that's really been redone in a lot of movies? I guess not.
I saw the movies. I saw I saw the references first, so I'll have to run into them again in order to backtrack.
Got it.
The,
A
the,
lot
uh,
of a lot of famous directors they mentioned Jason the Argonauts by name, and that scene some consider that one of the best stop motion scenes ever out of all movies in comparison, because Ray Harryhausen spent so much time putting that together, and that looks so great and smooth.
it definitely is one of the top, stop motion scenes I've ever seen. It was just
Pirates of the Caribbean
incredible.
comes to mind. That's one of them. I'm
Well,
not a fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but I know that was one of them.
You know, another one I'd really like to watch would be Harryhausen's Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, because that was the first Ray Harryhausen film I ever saw. I think it was like 6 or 7 on the TV, and that totally blew my mind. I was just totally captivated.
Mysterious Island, yeah, Clash of the Titans.
Well, I mean, I just love Seventh Voyage because you got the dragon, you got only one skeleton, but it's really well done, and you got the evil Torrin Thatcher is the evil magician. Like that guy is great in that movie. I just love that movie.
He's another one that chooses the scenery, and that's why he did so good in that Lost in Space episode.
But he was great in it. Like I just loved him in that movie because he was perfect in the role, right? So to speak. So
the traitor.
Well, maybe
wasn't that the episode.
And towards the end of the movie, there's definitely a scene when they're trying to escape from the magician's cave, and there's like that rock bridge that the magician breaks, so they have to swing across it on a rope. I'm totally convinced that George Lucas must have stolen that scene for Star Wars.
When they swing on that rope, that goes way back to like the Zorro and the Errol Flynn movies.
But I could see George Lucas seeing Seventh Voyage and going, "Hey, that's a great scene. I'll steal that."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, is there anything anybody wants to add before we close the stream up?
Nope, we're good on my end.
Yeah, I can't.
And I know it's getting late for you at work again, Gorilla. For Gorilla and Jill, what is it, 10 o'clock?
Must be. Yeah.
I need to go watch The Children Shall Lead. I need to go watch Star Trek.
Me too. I'm going to be there at least in the chat if I can tomorrow.
You have my sympathies, Jill.
Yeah, I do
And Bob.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, at least Pop can just listen.
That's got to be one of the most painful episodes. I think that's like down the bottom 3 or 4 for me. It's just like, that's
Hey. You guys only have to watch it or review. You guys can give your honest opinions on it. I actually had to defend it because someone picked it for me to defend.
Oh, that's tragic.
That's actually what I do on my show. Is I go deep into the episode, and even if it's a bad episode, I find the good in it, and the not so good. But I'm not tied down to just saying it's good.
Wow, I'm gonna
Exactly
have to.
right.
I'm gonna watch next weekend after a few drinks because that's gonna be rough to watch, Jill. Defending children, that's gonna be a rough
Oh,
watch.
I'm not necessarily going to defend it. If I have to tear it apart, I will, and I will. I
Well,
probably
no,
will.
That sounds like a good drinking game where you take a swig every
Oh,
time you find a
Lord.
good excuse for it.
Well, there's Spock's brain drinking game, which I've heard about. I've never played it, but it's like every time you hear the word brain, you take a swig. So yeah, you probably could get pretty hammered doing that. But I don't think there's a children shall lead drinking game, is there, that I'm aware of? So
Every time you want to slap the kids.
Every time they start chanting.
Oh, well, that'd be good too. Yeah, that's pretty scary to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an episode where I have to say, in case I'm not there to mention it, but we always talk about an episode of a TV show or a movie where it has a kid that's irritating. It's like we get a whole bunch of them in that episode, right?
Oh,
You have to decide who's the most irritating.
They all are.
And of course, remember everybody, the red-haired kid is the one that went on to do the sound effect for V'ger. No, sorry, the probe in Star Trek 4. The probe in Star Trek 4. That was it. Yes.
I never realized that.
Right. He became a musician and he was in a band. And he's the one that did the sound effect for the probe in Star Trek 4, the whale probe.
Well, better as a musician than an actor, I gotta say.
Right. But he still is in Hollywood in some way or another. He's connected but behind the scenes.
Oh, man.
I just don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah. Children is probably one of the very worst episodes.
I remember Melvin Belli. Yeah.
Oh God, he's horrible.
Well, I'll see if it's better or worse than the alternative factor, because so far that's still my least favorite.
I have to defend. I have to keep defending. Alternative factor is, yes, it's a weak episode. I love Vasquez Rocks, and they showed really some good angles of it. But I'm sorry, I'm partial for on location shooting, and that's when I feel horrible that I missed last week's, where Kirk's where Kirk's an Indian with Miramani. I wanted to be there for that one. I just like those location episodes.
Yeah, that was nice when they filmed that on location. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. I like that episode, actually.
Yep.
And
for the third season, it was a treat to get on location for the third season.
Well, and then when Shatner does that line, "I am Kurok." I mean, that's epic. You got to admit that's an epic.
I guess it's meme worthy.
No, that's the one audio clip that I still have from that episode on my list of videos that I keep.
That's a favorite moment for me.
Play it.
That's one of my favorite moments of season 3 is when he does his Kurok line. It's just fantastic.
It is classic.
Shatner at his best.
All right. Is there anything anything you guys like to say, like I said before I close this up and say my goodbyes?
I can't think of anything I'd really like to add. It's an A- episode. I really enjoyed it. One of the best. I'd probably put it in I don't know if it's top 5, but it's definitely in the top 10 to season 1. So it's a good one.
Yep. Right. I'm all excited for season 2. And I forgot to mention that tomorrow night, please join us on my channel. But we're going to cover Hatchet. We had some technical difficulties last week, and we had to kind of change it to a rumblings from the last stream, and just go by the seat of our pants.
You got to download it safely,
yes.
So we can. Oh, that's good. Good thumbs up, man. Yeah. I've been looking forward to doing that for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks, and I feel bad. But we will finally get around it. Tomorrow night, everyone, 7 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, and then 7 p.m. If everything works out for Gilligan's Island, we're going to be wrapping up the second season of that here soon. If you can make it, I really appreciate it. Then, of course, join us, please, next week for the episode of Lost in Space. It'll be the last of the season. Follow the leader. Before we get it, like I said, the following week we'll be showing the pilot once again. So I believe that's everything. And most of all, obviously, most importantly, thank you to everybody in the chat for spending your time with us tonight. I really do appreciate that. It was a really, really good to see you guys.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very fun stream tonight. I really enjoyed it.
And then if you work tomorrow, please drive safe, stay warm, and yeah, especially if you're in those cold areas of the country. I understand it can
Yeah,
get a little rough.
Don't be like the guy that made me late for work today. That ended up rolling his truck 3
What?
times and ended up upside down.
Yes,
on
in a few minutes. Go lay down now.
the
Come read your
opposite
book in a
ditch.
minute. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, you're
I gotta
fine.
go read a book.
No,
Yeah,
you're fine. Yeah, you definitely don't want to go out. You don't want to roll your car tomorrow, everybody.
Yeah. Some guy ended up in the opposite ditch and rolled his truck like 2 or 3 times and ended up on the side where they had to go get the jaws of life for him.
Well, hopefully
Jeez,
nobody was hurt too seriously.
that sounds
I
bad.
don't know. They had 5 sheriff's vehicles out there, so
I hope he didn't have any
God.
kids in the car.
Man,
I don't know
bad
details.
driving. Bad driving.
Yeah, it's
God, I
not even
remember
ice out or nothing.
PPP. You remember the days where people could ride in the back of pickups, and then when they got in an accident, they
Oh.
just go flying everywhere.
I do. Yeah, back in the 70s, that was a normal thing, which
It
you'd
was,
never get away with it now. You'd never get away with it now.
Put it in the truck when I was a kid. I never got in trouble for it.
Yeah, we've rode in the back of vehicles before.
Oh yeah, but
We
now
do.
if a cop spotted you now, you'd be getting a ticket for sure. You know.
we rode for a point when I was a kid where even a flatbed pickup with no sides on it.
Wow.
I do
So
have
that's
to
odd.
go read a
Risky.
story for my baby, so
Yes.
I will
Okay.
talk to you guys
I'm-
later.
I'm gonna
Night, Jill.
I'm gonna end this right now. Thank you, Jill.
Have a
Oh.
good night, Jill.
Bye bye, everybody.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.